And we welcome you back to Golden West College. For Rustler Baseball here on SoCalCollegeSports.com, we are set to get underway in game number 2 with Noah Owen on the mound making his third start of the season for the Rustlers, and he starts off Dominic Martinez with a strike. No balls and 1 strike. It'll be Martinez to be followed by Elias Rios and Matt Darr. Here in the first inning, breaking ball inside for a ball. 1-1 on Martinez. Martinez comes in batting .405 on the season. Big swing and a miss. He's down the count now. A ball and 2 strikes. No home runs, 7 runs batted in for Martinez. This, the third and final conference matchup between the two teams this week. It's a 4-game series overall. The first 3 games have gone to the Rustlers, and they'll try to complete the sweep here today, and that starts out with a strikeout of Martinez as Owen goes to the breaking ball. 1 down, and that'll bring up Rios. Elias Rios batting .353 on the season, a home run, 8 runs batted in. It's back to more of the typical starting lineups for both Chad Baum at Fullerton and Drew Ramos at Golden West. Breaking ball in for a strike for Noah Owen. Start to give you some of the numbers on Owen. Mentioned that this is his 3rd start of the season. Fourth appearance overall. Off speed again and in for a strike. He's quickly ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Owen with a record of 0-2, 15 innings of work, 13 hits allowed, 3 walks, 18 strikeouts. I'll tell you, Noah Owen, as we've seen him this season, has been very good. And it's just a little bit of bad fortune that he's without a win, and a statement that could probably be applied overall to the entire Rustler team here in 2021. A number of close games and 1-run games that seemingly have all gone against Golden West in this season so far. And Owen is somewhat part and parcel of that. He's looked very good, especially in stretches in his outings, and the numbers are there with an ERA that's under 5 and 18 strikeouts in 15 innings. So he's got the stuff to be successful, but so far 0-2 on the season. He'll see if he can turn it around today. 0-1 on Matt Darr. Darr comes in batting .368, 2 home runs, 9 runs batted in. Dangerous top of the order for Fullerton. Typically with Martinez, Rios, and Darr really drives this lineup. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jacob Sharp will be next. Rios aboard after being hit by a pitch. We're just underway. Game 4. The 4-game series between Golden West and Fullerton. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Runner bluffs towards second, just low. 2 balls and a strike. Umpires switch for game 2, so Keith Gibbs behind the plate, and Johnny Pineda will move out to the bases. 2-1. With Sharp waiting on deck. On the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jackson Lepiner gets the start in left. Sebastian Orduño back in center. And Julian Boyd in right for the Rustlers. Get to the infield after this pitch. Here's the 2-2. There goes the runner. Swung on and missed. The throw down. Not in time. It'll be a stolen base for Rios, but Darr down on strikes for out number 2. So 2 down, a runner at second, and Jacob Sharp coming to the plate. Gunnar McGran back in the lineup at third. Stephen Casas at short. Miles Jenkins at second. Logan Galena at first, and Cole Andel-Volge behind the plate. 2 down and Sharp coming to the plate. Jacob Sharp batting .324 on the season, 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in. Owen checks Rios at second. First pitch in for a strike. Owen ready. Fouled away. No balls, 2 strikes quickly on Sharp. It is hard to imagine when you look at Owen and you look at the numbers. And the one that really jumps out is the 15 innings and 3 walks versus 18 strikeouts. And if you've got that kind of command over the strike zone, it is hard to imagine that good results are not eventually going to come. A wave and a miss. He strikes out the side in the first. Great start for Noah Owen and the Rustlers. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 left on base. We're through half an inning. Fullerton nothing. Golden West coming to bat on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Right-hander Anthony Diaz gets the start for Fullerton on the mound, and he will work to Orduno, Galena, and Andel Volchi here in the bottom of the first. No score, Golden West and Fullerton. For Diaz, it's his 4th appearance on the season, his 2nd start. No record in ERA of 1.35. Orduno, first pitch swinging, fly ball center field. Under it is Rios, and he'll put it away for out number 1. So 1 pitch, 1 out for Diaz. In the 6 2/3 innings, Diaz has allowed 4 hits, walked 5, struck out 11. So the numbers tell you a story, no doubt. Good stuff from Diaz, but will control potentially be an issue? First pitch, a fastball in for a strike. No balls and a strike on Galena, who makes his first appearance of the day. Did not appear in game 1. He's batting .342 on the season, 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in. Here's the 0-1 to Galena. Inside for a ball, 1-1. Galena at first. And the lineup today is Christian Lamar in the lineup, but he'll be the designated hitter. And Galena, one of the few players, for those that have followed the Rustlers, who returns after playing at Golden West a year ago. A lot of players have come to this program transferring in, but Galena, one of the stalwarts from a year ago. 2 balls and a strike, and we're joined by Rocco Constantino, the athletic director at Santa Barbara City College. And Rocco, good to have you.
Hi, Jeff. Good to have you, too. Thanks for having me back in the game. Ready to go, ready to see some good baseball this afternoon.
Absolutely. Well, Golden West trying to complete the sweep. They have won the first 3. 2 balls and 2 strikes after Galena had a cut At the Diaz fastball. And Rocco, I just made the point talking about Diaz's numbers that in just 6 1/3, he's allowed only 4 hits, walked 5 and struck out 11, and that told me that he's a guy you can expect pretty good stuff and probably a lot of movement. Line back to the box for a base hit.
Yeah, I'm sure really good stuff. It seems like swing and miss stuff and movement for sure. A lot of deep counts, it sounds like, a lot of pitches, so it'll be important to keep an eye on his pitch count as the game goes on.
Galena at first with 1 down, and Cole Volge will be the batter. 2 home runs, 15 runs batted in for Cole. He's batting .200. Did have an appearance in the first game, struck out pinch hitting in the 5-3 win for Golden West. As the Rustlers have now strung together 3 wins in a row, they've got the record up to 4-11. Looking for another one here. Good cut for Volge and back to the screen. And that looked like a breaking ball from Diaz. Seen a lot of the fastball early. Yep. 0-1 on Volge. Again, tried the breaking ball and missed. 1-1. But it looks to me from Diaz like it's a good hard breaking ball to go along with a live fastball, but one of those guys who seems to bring it at a pretty decent velo no matter what he's coming with.
Yeah, he looks like one of those, traditional power righties. Big build, pretty compact delivery, powerful legs, and like I said, it's just prototypical power righty that you see. And I'll be interested to watch him pitch. He looks like he's a tough customer.
A ball and 2 strikes on Volge with Galena at first. We are just underway here from Golden West College. 1-2 pitch. And that one is ripped but foul. And again, it looked like
speaking
Diaz.
Of tough guys too.
Go ahead, Rocco. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of tough guys too, I'm be interested in Volge here again today. I was impressed with him the last game we watched. I thought he did a great job behind the plate, and this is a great little battle to watch here.
Was that the game that you and Tony Barbone were with us when Cole also had 8 RBIs as he goes after the high fastball? He's down on strikes. But we had a game earlier where he also had a home run and 8 runs batted in the game. And
yeah, that was the game. I was lucky enough to be in.
Yeah, talk about doing it all. But he goes down on strikes here. 2 down, and Galena still at first, and that'll bring up Julian Boyd. Boyd also had a pinch hitting appearance earlier today in Game 1. He struck out. So he's 15 for 46 now on the season. So the average up over 320.
Mm-hmm.
First pitch low for a ball. Dominic Martinez in left, Elias Rios in center, Matt Darr in right for the Hornets. Sawyer Chesley at third, David Barrios at short, Ryan Lamastra at second, Julian Tellez at first. Here's the 1-0. Lifted into right center. This is going to drop in for a base hit. Digging for second and making it is Boyd. Boy, that was a bang-bang play at second, and what great hustle by Boyd. On the play, Galena ends at third. He didn't get a great jump even with 2 out, so the Rustlers perhaps miss out on an opportunity to grab an early lead as Galena holds at third.
Yeah, and I thought if that throw went directly into second base, I think they would have had him as an out. I mean, center fielder's moving into the right center field gap, and he's a righty thrower, so he's not going to have that momentum to get anybody at third.
It was a calculated gamble from Julian Boyd. Isn't the rule of thumb generally that you don't want to make the first or the last out on the base paths in an inning? And that was a risk, but he gets there. A ball and no strikes. As I look at that play and we get the replay, Rios was able to cut it off, so I think Galena not really going to be in a position to score there no matter what he does. So perhaps that wasn't entirely fair to Logan. I think he ended up at third, as he was likely to do on that play. 2 balls and no strikes now the count on Christian Lamar, who's got a big opportunity to give the Rustlers an early lead.
Yeah, I think that runner in the third, that's a great read on an outfielder. Typically, when you have that center fielder moving away from third base, you're going to go first to third pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was just that throw possibly could have come into second base, and like you said, that would have been a tough base running mistake. Calculated gamble that paid off, so we're all good now. But if he makes that out at second base and it's the third out of the inning, and there's a runner on third, then it's you know that's a tough play.
Yeah, if he gets thrown out there at second base, he might take his time getting back to the dugout after the inning.
I've been there before.
2 balls and a strike now on Lamar. Jammed him. Popped to second, and Lemastra's there to retire the side. The Rustlers threaten, but come up empty. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left on base. We're through 1. No score. Golden West and Fullerton on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Top of the second inning from Golden West. Tellez, McClure, and Chesley due up against Noah Owen. No score here between Golden West and Fullerton. Noah Owen into the wind, and he misses low and outside. And Rocco talking a little bit about Noah Owen in the top of the inning and some of the numbers through 15 innings, but the one that jumps out at you is 3 walks against 18 strikeouts. And if you've got that kind of command of the strike zone, I posed the question, and I had to wonder, how can good things not follow as a pitcher?
I mean that's those are great numbers, and that's not that's keeping the other team from getting those free 90 feet. If you're keeping runners off base with those strikeouts and then limiting your walks to that extent with that 18-3 ratio, you're right. I mean, and if his stuff is probably tough to hit too, um,
Yeah.
that's a recipe for success without question.
2 balls and a strike. Well, we'll keep an eye. He's off to a good start here through an inning. Hasn't allowed a run. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Julian Tellez. It reminds me of a conversation that I had earlier this season with Nate Johnson, the head coach over at Orange Coast College, and he was talking about one of their pitchers, and I'm sorry I don't have the roster in front of me right now, but was making the point that they were very pleased with the performance that they had seen from that pitcher, because really in all the innings that he's pitched, he'd really only made about 3 or 4 bad pitches. But if you make those bad pitches at bad times with runners on base, it can inflate your numbers in a way that can kind of skew them, as Owen gets another strikeout as he freezes Tellez with a breaking ball. That is 4 strikeouts here in the first 4 batters that he's retired. But, timing is a little bit of a factor here as well, Rocco, because again, if a mistake comes at a bad time, you could give up a couple of runs, even only throwing 1 bad pitch.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, in the sport of baseball, no matter how good your pitchers are, you're going to give up a hit here or there, even a big hit. And the key, and he's given up, 13 hits in 15 innings coming into this game. The key is you don't want to give up those hits, especially the big ones, with runners on base. And you're keeping them off base with the strikeouts. You're keeping them off base by not walking anybody. You're, getting ground outs, easy ground outs to your sure-handed fielders like that. And
Yep.
again, that's a great recipe for success, because batters are going to get their hits. They are, especially at this level,
Yep.
and using metal bats. The key is to keep runners off the base and not give up those big hits with runners on.
Oh. So McClure retired on the ground ball to short, and that'll bring up Sawyer Chesley in a swing and a miss and no balls and a strike on Chesley. Chesley batting 174 on the season, no home runs, 6 runs batted in. And Chesley will step out and ask for time. And right now, the way that Noah Owen looks through the first 1 2/3, you wonder if that isn't just a good heady move by Sawyer Chesley. And at this point, why not try and disrupt the guy's rhythm a little bit?
Yeah, we saw in that replay there, it looked like the catcher got cracked in the face with the backswing while he was looking down at his wristband with his plays on it. His pitch balls.
Yeah, good fastball up and in, and Chesley tried to hold up, and now he's in a hole. No balls and 2 strikes. David Barrios, the shortstop, waits on deck. Owen ready. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball outside for a ball. Owen ready into the wind. Here's the pitch. Cold strike 3. 3 up, 3 down for the Hornets in the second. Owen's been lights out through 2. We head to the bottom of the second. No score. Golden West and Fullerton on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Bottom of the second inning, it'll be Casas, McGran, and Lepiner. For Golden West, no score. As we head to the bottom of the inning, and Casas will lead things off. And Casas briefly in the lineup in game 1 at short. He returns. And a swing and a miss at the breaking ball from Diaz. No balls and a strike. Casas comes in batting .234, 0 for 1 in the first game, and he chops this one foul. So no balls and 2 strikes quickly on Casas. I don't know if you got a chance to see any of the first game, Rocco, but some interesting plays. And Casas was at the plate for one where he was retired on a ground out, but Ulysses Perez, hustling all the way, went from first to third on the ground out as that one is fouled, backing out of play. And then on a wild throw, scored from third. So on a ground ball in the infield, Perez went from first all the way home for a Golden West run. And there is a play that you don't see every day.
You don't see it every day. I didn't get to see the first game, so I didn't see that play. But it was let's see. It was almost similar to what happened in the Yankees game the other night, where Gleyber Torres, he was on first, and there was a ground ball, and he went into second, and because of the shift, third base wasn't covered, so he just kept going to third, and then the pitcher didn't cover home the way he was supposed to, and the catcher was trying to get himself to third, so Torres took home. Torres scored just the way Casas did, a little bit of a different play, but first to home, scoring on an infield grounder.
Casas down on strikes here on a good fastball from Diaz, right at the knees. Yeah, you don't often bring a guy home from first base on a ball that you hit about 60 feet, but that's what Casas did. But
right.
Yeah, it was a fascinating play. Not so much in a failure, it looked like, of Fullerton to cover bases, but more just on recognition by Perez, who saw on the slow hit ball that he could go to third and then one wild throw and he came home. As the Rustlers made that stand up, they ended up winning it 5-3 to make it 3 in a row in the series. No balls and a strike on McGrann, who came on in game 1 and now gets the start in game 2. He was 1 for 2 earlier today. He doubled and eventually scored. Squared to bunt, breaking ball in, and it's quickly no balls and 2 strikes. And McGrann now up to 8 for 22 on the season at the plate. And I made the quick point in the first game that Gunnar McGrann is putting a lot of pressure on Drew Ramos to get him into the lineup more. And he gets the start here, but he's down on strikes. And Diaz now starting to match Noah Owen. Out for out and strikeout for strikeout. That's 3
Yeah,
for
I'm really
Diaz.
impressed by
Ahead,
both
Rocco.
pitchers. They're working in and out. Diaz, I thought, in the previous inning was really busting the batters inside. Now he's got a couple lefties, but even on Casas, he went to that outside corner. So he's doing a good job working inside, working outside, and I'm impressed so far.
And that'll bring up Jackson Lepiner, who's been certainly a jack of all trades for this Golden West team here in 2021, seeing some time in the lineup, playing some first base and left field, and also on the mound. He was on the mound for a couple of innings in the 9-7 win on Thursday, trying to close it out. Golden West did eventually win that game in 10 innings. So 2 balls and no strikes now on Lepiner. Low for ball 3. Jackson 3 for 17 on the plate on the season. No home runs, 5 runs batted in. 3-0, in for a strike. Well, both teams had a couple of rallies in innings where they had 2 outs and the bases empty, and it all started with a 2-out Walker hit, and you end up scoring runs. And for Diaz here, we have seen it over and over again. You'd love to get out of innings 1, 2, 3. It's amazing how the seemingly innocuous 2-out walk or 2-out base hit turns into 1 or sometimes more than 1 run for a team at the plate.
That's the absolute truth. Being a coach before my time as an AD, it was funny, the other team would get a 2-out, bases empty walk and always seemed to come around. And when we did it at our team, never seemed to happen that way. But Diaz, great pitch down there, right through the bottom of the strike zone, a little low, but the batter was aggressive, and batter was aggressive, and I think he saw that, and it's a great spot.
Diaz strikes out the side. We're through 2, no score. Barrios, Lamastra, and then the top of the order, Martinez, due up in the top of the 3rd. And I don't know if you could call it a pitcher's duel through 2, but I think you have to be very impressed with both pitchers, certainly, in a scoreless first 2 frames.
Yeah, very much so far. And it's been great watching the pitchers work around, and I really this was my first time seeing Owen that last inning, and I really was impressed by his curveball. It's got a real sharp break to it. Looks like he's starting it at the top of the strike zone, and it's it's breaking down and freezing the Fullerton batters. So it's a great strikeout pitch to have. It would be tough to hit. If a batter's up there looking fastball, that's going to buckle his knees, and it's a great weapon to have. I'm looking forward to him using it the rest of the game, or at least through his stint.
Barrios is 6 for 17 on the season. He lines this one into right center for a base hit. So that's the first hit of the day for Fullerton. Barrios aboard with a leadoff single.
And just as I'm talking about how great his curveball is, he gives up a hit off of it. But it still had that good shot or good spot and good break to it. I give credit to the batter on that one. He didn't try to do too much with it. It was on the outside half of the plate, and he just put it into right center and did his job. He's a leadoff batter. He's supposed to get on base. Didn't try to do too much, didn't swing out of his shoes, just put it in the right center field and get on, and Fullerton's going to try and start a rally with it.
You would have no way of knowing this, Rocco, as you've just joined us, but I have been jinxing people for years across sports. I mean, it's incredible. I don't. It might be my greatest gift. No balls and a strike. But this is nothing new here on SoCal College Sports. Bunted on the right side. Galena will go to Jenkins covering the successful sacrifice. Moves Barrios to second with one down. And that'll bring up Dominic Martinez. And the Hornets in a good situation with a runner in scoring position and their biggest bats coming up right off the top, and it starts with Martinez. Again, he came in batting .405. He struck out his first time up. We'll see how Owen works to him here with a runner at second and one down. High with the fastball.
And early in the game like that, I like that play of trying to, playing for a run, bunt them over. Like you said, you got two of their best hitters coming up. Martinez is over 400 on the year, or he was coming into today. So put a runner in scoring position for him and put some pressure on this pitcher.
A ball and a strike, and obviously you have to have the thought that the way Diaz looks through 2 innings, you can make one run stand up for a while potentially.
Right, and you want that's credit to the coaching. In a game that you could tell as a coach pretty much right from the bat or even coming in whether you think it's going to be a lot of runs scored or a pitcher's duel. In a game like this, with the way Diaz and Owen had started off, runs are going to be at a premium. So why not bunch your guy over and give your big hitters 2 shots to drive them in, get that early lead.
Yep, just outside, 2 balls and a strike on Martinez with Elias Rios waiting on deck. Owen delivers, ground ball to second. Jenkins will go to first as Barrios advances to third with 2 down. Well, now for the Hornets, they'll be looking for any old kind of a hit to grab a lead here in the top of the third. They're trying to salvage one in the 4-game series. That'll bring up Elias Rios, freshman out of Cypress High School. And you can't help but wonder if you see Rios off to such a good start here in his freshman season, .353 average, a home run, 8 runs batted in. If this is a little bit of a disappointment for Cypress College that they didn't get him right there local. I know Fullerton is also close by. Yeah.
It's always tough to see, one of your local high school students go off and play at another junior college, especially when you got to go up against them in conference. But it's what happens. It's fine. You have to understand that everything is for the students, and students go where their best fit is. We certainly have that at Santa Barbara, where we end up running into students who go play for other junior colleges, 3C2A schools, and you just hope they're having a good experience and doing well academically. You can't hold anything against it, but you'd be lying to say, you see a local kid having success elsewhere, and you wonder what if.
Yeah, it would be hard not to. Breaking ball got him. Rios goes fishing and comes up empty. No runs, one hit, no errors, one left on base. We head to the bottom of the third, still scoreless. Golden West and Fullerton on SoCalCollegeSports.com.
It's on.
Bottom of the third inning.
No win. No win.
And Jenkins to be followed by Orduno. And then Galena. Still scoreless, Fullerton and Golden West College. Rustler baseball here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Anthony Diaz back on the rubber and ready to work to Jenkins. First pitch, grounded foul. 0-1 on Jenkins. Well, Rocco, what do you think you talk about here? I know it's early in this one, but both pitchers seem to be pretty sharp early on. And what are you trying to do from a hitting standpoint? What do you maybe talk about with your hitters to try and disrupt a rhythm if a pitcher really seems to be in a groove?
Well, that's exactly as you see a hit by pitch there. A curveball got away from Diaz. That's exactly what you try to do as a coach. You tell your players, hey, we got to disrupt this timing. Pitcher's in a groove. He's feeling good. Take pitches, make them work. We need to get a base runner somehow. You call a timeout here or there. You just anything you could to get that pitcher out of the rhythm of get the ball, throw the pitch, get the ball, throw the pitch. And Diaz seems to like working fast. He seems like a bulldog out there that wants to go right at him. So that's a good first step for Golden West, getting a base runner. Just like that, make him throw a couple pickoffs over. Anything to get him out of that rhythm of going right at the batters, and you start to say cloud his mind a little bit and do those kind of different things. And we'll see. That's a great part of baseball. It's a little game within the game, and that's why I think people love the sport.
And similar to the top of the inning, where now it's Golden West that appears to have set themselves up well as the 9-hitter Jenkins gets on base, and now you've got some big bats coming up for the Rustlers and an opportunity to grab a lead. Orduno 14 for 41 on the season. He got the start as the designated hitter in game one. In his one at bat, he doubled as he stays hot of late. And that pitch outside for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes now on Orduno.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the two contrasting styles with both teams. Fullerton had their leadoff batter on, bunted him over, and tried to get that hit to get the lead. And it doesn't look like Golden West is taking that same thing. You have Orduno up and a very good hitter, hitting over 300. So you're probably, hoping for the big hit or maybe a hit and run. But Diaz is doing a good job too of keeping the runner close. He means business with those pickoffs. Those aren't just show me throws over to first base. I mean, he's wheeling and firing over there. So
yeah, it looks like Anthony Diaz is one of those guys who only knows one speed, whether it's coming home or throwing to first. He throws
exactly.
He throws one speed. Fouled away by Orduno. Count now 1-1.
I love it. Those are the pitchers I love to watch. So, like I've said the word a couple times. He's a bulldog.
So Orduño with a good hole on the right side as Tellez holds the runner on. But can he turn on a Diaz pitch? Here's the 1-1. Fly ball center field. Rios moving back. He's got room. Orduño retired as Jenkins retreats to first. One down.
Orduño put a good swing on that. I thought that was a really good pitch. Inner half of the plate. He kept it out of the middle, and kept Orduño from extending his arm. So Orduño did a good job to make some solid contact there. But I think that was the best he could have done with that pitch. That was a good pitch by Diaz.
Yeah, Orduño just so solid in all phases of the game, and Drew Ramos talked about what a tremendously talented player he is when we talked a little bit before the season got started, and he said that he's just so impressed with this young man, and not just simply how he has all the tools to be a tremendous player, but that he also brings the intangibles as well in his approach to the game. And again, that was a good-looking swing, and he just happened to hit it to the deepest part of the park. One down. Here's Galena and a throw over. Galena with 3 home runs and 9 runs batted on the season. Those 3 home runs came in back-to-back games. And he has the power to take it out with one swing, no question. Diaz ready. Off speed outside for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes.
I think that's where Diaz has to live with Galena up there. If you get that outside corner, throw that breaking stuff. If he gets something into his wheelhouse, especially with Galena's power and Diaz's pitching speed, ball could go a long way if he makes some solid contact. So if he comes into his wheelhouse, he's got to make sure he doesn't miss.
Ground ball, it's through on the left side for a base hit for Galena. And that looked to me like Barrios might have been cheating up the middle, and that might have even been a pre-pitch shift against Galena, looking for a ball that was pulled, because that was hit to me to pretty much straight away short. Let's watch the replay. Yeah, he was pretty normal in position there, but that was a ball that I think the Rustlers catch a little bit of a break, because I think Barrios was at least a couple of steps shaded toward the middle.
Yeah, he definitely was shaded towards the middle, and Fullerton at least seemed to think that at some point they were going to put the runner in motion, because Diaz was paying him close attention at first. Shortstop was shifted a couple steps up the middle. Never happened, but nice piece of hitting there too by Galena, taking that outside pitch and finding that hole.
Yeah, takes it the opposite way for a base hit. Andol Volgi pops this one up and out of play. A ball and a strike on Andol Volgi, and obviously there's danger here for Fullerton with Andol Volgi at the plate. He's got a couple of home runs, 15 runs batted in on the season. And there's another significant power threat. And the ball appears to be carrying at least somewhat today. So Diaz with 2 on and 1 out. And a 1-1 count on Andol Volgi, and the breaking ball gets away, and the runners are going to move up. Well, I should say Jenkins advances. Galena stays at first, but the wild pitch does move a runner up. So runners at the corners now. There's a little bit of trouble for Jacob Sharp, and that's great recognition by Jenkins at second. That wasn't a big window to make the move to third, but a good jump.
Yeah, that was a great read. That's something that's tough to teach too. We like to teach, when I was coaching, I always try to teach pitch recognition. And if you see, a pitch that's going to be coming in low, get your momentum going to the other base just in case it scoots away. And Jenkins did just that. I mean, I think he read that pitch and was ready to go in an instant. As soon as it hit the ground, he was gone.
Good cut for Andel Volge, and he fouled it straight back. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes, and it's another sort of old aphorism in baseball, but when it's fouled straight back on a cut like that, you know Andel Volge just missed it.
Just missed.
Here's the 2-2. Did he go around? Did not. So Andel Volge holds up, and the count goes full. And good job on the replay, and I think from that angle, it's a good call. Full count.
Good call, and a really nice block by the catcher there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Lost in that is that Sharp, with a runner at third, came up with the big block to keep the runners at the corners. Curve ball inside for ball 4. So Andel Volge works the walk, and now the Rustlers have loaded them up. Still only 1 out, and Julian Boyd will be the batter. He doubled his first time up. Interesting for Boyd, 16 hits on the season, and that was his first double. He's got a couple of home runs, but no doubles, no triples, and obviously he's got the power. It's just sort of a statistical oddity that it happens that of 16 hits, that was the first time that he had a double. Maybe that's why he was so anxious to take the extra base. So I got to get on the board with the doubles. 1 ball, no strikes. But Boyd has been outstanding all season long. 16 hits and 47 at-bats. He's got a big opportunity here with the bases loaded and only 1 out. On the right side, base hit for Boyd. This will score 1. A little trouble out in right field for Dar, and that'll bring home another run. It's a 2-run single for Julian Boyd. As Boyd finds the hole with a base hit, and don't know if they were going to have a play. I think they were sending Galena anyway, and Dar just lost the handle. Don't know, that might go down. They're not calling that an error on Dar, so it's going to go down as a 2-run single for Julian Boyd, and the Rustlers grab the 2-0 lead.
And really, again, nice piece of hitting by Boyd. He didn't try to do too much there. You just need a ball out of the infield. He got his pitch. He went with it.
Lamar takes a fastball down low. The runner breaks for second, and Boyd has the stolen base. So 1 ball, no strikes to count on Lamar. The Rustlers keep it going here in the second. They lead it 2-0, and they've got a couple of runners in scoring position, still only 1 out.
And we were talking earlier about disrupting timing and disrupting rhythm in Diaz, and Golden West has certainly done that. They've, to their credit, gotten some hits, but it started with the base runner and putting some people in motion. Clutch hits. I think for me it started, Diaz looked to lose a little bit of command of that curveball that was so great. There he got the call on that strike there, but to me in this inning, his curveball, it's the movement's there, the sharpness is there, but the command isn't, to me, where it was in the first 2 innings.
Deep to left center, and it's gone. Well, Lamar able to turn on one and take it out. We talked about how the ball is carrying today, and as you look at the replay, and this a fastball up in the zone, and Christian Lamar drills it to left center. 3-run shot.
That's some power by Lamar. I mean, that's a 390 out there, and that's a high fastball from a good pitcher who's throwing pretty hard out there. To be able to stay on top of that ball and drive it the way he did, turning around a high fastball like that is not something you see too often. That was a great job. Some power.
Yeah, it just kept on carrying. This is a great job by Lamar to turn that pitch around. First pitch in for a strike as we watch the replay one more time. And again, that was another one I think that was right off the pole out there, but no question it was gone with room to spare. As it comes back into play, Christian Lamar has broken this wide open. It's now 5-0, 1-1 the count on Casas. And for Lamar, that is home run number 1 on the season. Now has 9 runs batted in. Up high. 2 balls and a strike on Casas. Well, for Diaz, you almost can't be any better than he was in the second inning when he struck out the side. 3 balls and a strike, but just as quickly. The wheels have come off here in the third inning, and a couple of mistakes, but then the ball up in the zone to Lamar, and he's able to turn it around, and Golden West has a 5 spot on the board. Way high to Casas, and a walk will bring up McGran. And they'll come out and talk to Diaz.
Yeah, and that's good timing on that. You could have maybe even done that after the homer. Give him a chance to regroup, catch his breath, get a new starting point. And that's what I would say to a pitcher. Keep our now reset and let's go. Then my message after the home run, same thing. Just regroup. You've gone through these hitters and test them. Do what you can to get your confidence back and let's go forward.
We always make the point we cover that, you're talking about young men here, 18, 19 years of age, and, still on their path of learning in the game, which I'm sure goes on for as long as you play the game. But you so often see when there's a little bit of frustration, which would be totally understandable as a pitcher, it's so easy to start really overthrowing. And you really see that a little bit of the maybe frustration creeps through and starts to affect how they go about pitching. And I just have to imagine that's one of the hardest lessons to impart for young pitchers, is how to maybe control that emotion a little bit and really stay focused on the fundamentals of pitching, because it would be so natural for that frustration to kind of creep in and you start really overthrowing.
Yeah, and especially with somebody like Diaz too. I mean, you could see he's an intense guy. He's animated out there, and that's what makes him good. But you have to learn, like you said, the more you play, the more you learn to reel that in and use it to your advantage when you're going good, but you can't let it get out of control when things aren't going so well. So I love the intensity from him. I think that's what's been making him successful. It's just all about continuing that growth process and learning how to work through it when the strike zone's a little bit more difficult to find.
McGran's in a hole now, 0-2. Struck out his first time up. And McGran now 4 for 10 in the series, as he has really started to solidify his place in this lineup. It's been something of a revolving door in the infield, really at every position for the Rustlers this season. And part of having a deep roster to start with as well. Fastball high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But McGran has delivered when they've called his number pretty much throughout this season. Now he's starting to appear in the lineup more regularly. 1-2 here. Diaz trying to get out of the third. In the dirt. Casas going to break for second, and he'll make it. So another runner in scoring position. 2 balls and 2 strikes, and now McGran, we'll see if he could pick him up.
A nice read again there by Casas and good aggressive base running. That's Golden West has done a great job on the base paths. They've been very aggressive. They haven't taken any big-time gambles.
Left center field, and on the run in this one is going to get to the wall. McGran with extra bases once again. Casas will score easily. McGran at second with a stand-up double. And as they say, the hits just keep on coming. As McGran able to send this one into left center. Still only one out in the inning, and you think back to that Orduno made solid contact. The Rustler Bats have come alive top to bottom here in the third, and they now lead it 6-0.
That's true, and you know you get one time through the order, and you know you get that first at bat out of the way. You learn a little bit about Diaz, the pitcher, and his approach, and they're putting the barrel on the ball. I mean they've had, when Diaz has gotten too much of the plate, the Golden West batters have been driving it on the pitches that he's made better pitches on. The Golden West batters have done a great job of just going with the pitch and doing you know, just getting it into the outfield and keeping the rally going. It's been an impressive approach here by Golden West this inning, without question.
They have batted around with Lepiner coming to the plate. Here's the 0-1, low for a ball. Outfield playing Lepiner to pull as they are shaded over toward right field. 1-1 the count. Just outside. 2-1 on Diaz. And Chad Baum content to give Anthony Diaz a good run here, as this is his fourth appearance, his second start. He's pitched just 6 2/3 innings on the season. But they're going to let him see if he can get himself out of this jam. Hasn't been able to do it so far. Into right field. This is another hit. Lepiner will hold up at first. They'll hold the runner at third. And that becomes the 7th consecutive batter to reach against Diaz here in this third inning. Runners at the corners, still only one out. And we're back to Miles Jenkins, who got things started in the inning. He was hit by a pitch.
Yeah, and that could have been the message to Diaz on the conference, Mound Conference too. And that's all part of his growth process, like we talked about. On this level, you know, yeah, we're competitive and we're looking to win, but it's all about developing players, developing pitchers. And, you know, Diaz is clearly struggling. And at some point, you know, he's going to have to mature and learn to get himself out of these situations. When you are struggling, take a deep breath and find yourself as a pitcher and work your way to get out of that. You know, sure, he could have been removed from the game and told that, you know, you did a job for 2+ innings, but they're letting him find it out here. You know, the message was probably, hey, we don't have anybody up in the pen. Work your way out, and that'll all go towards his growth. It's just a matter of trying to do it here. He still has one out in first and third, and you know, he's struggling with his command all over the place. But if he can get himself out of this, he could at least end on a positive note.
In for a strike, and from where we were, there was no activity in the bullpen. Now it looks as though someone might be getting up, but as of right now, there's no one even throwing. So they are definitely going to let Anthony Diaz try to work his way out of this jam. 1-2 pitch. Ground ball to second. Diving attempt by Lemastera. He can't come up with it. This is going to bring home another run. Lepiner ends up at third. The lead is now 7-0. This one back up the middle, and Lemastera with a good attempt, but he can't come up with it cleanly. And it ends up rolling away on the play. McGran scores easily. It'll go down as a hit for Jenkins. And that'll bring up Orduno. And there is some activity now in the Fullerton bullpen. It's Joel Martinez who is up and throwing as the Rustlers have broken through. And, of course, you go back to Tuesday and Golden West put 21 on the board in a 21-5 win. That on Tuesday, and then they won Game 2 of the series 9-7. So I made the point briefly in Game 1, but looking at the numbers, with a little help from that 21 spot on the board, Golden West now averaging a little over 10 runs a game over their last 7 games. So this isn't a big departure from how they've been swinging the bat lately as a general rule. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, and that way you give Diaz credit for those first 2 innings. I mean, he did a great job. You could see the talent. I mean, Golden West has hitters 1 through 9, and I'm sure on the bench. So that was a great job by Diaz those first couple innings of shutting them down. And now, like you see, Golden West has got to him. They're hitting the ball hard. He doesn't have that command he did. But he's out there fighting. I mean, like, he's got that mentality. He's giving it his best. A couple tough breaks.
Ground ball to second. The only play is to first, where they will get Orduno. Another run will come home to score on the play. So Orduno brings home Lepiner. Jenkins advances to second now with 2 down. You go to Diaz, and it's such a small sample size here. He's had 3 appearances on the season, 2 in relief. But, as I'm watching Rocco, I'm not entirely sure. We didn't get a total scouting report on Anthony Diaz, but it looks to me like he's working off a couple of pitches primarily. It looks like a fastball and a curve. I'm not necessarily seeing a lot of variation in a number of different pitches. Fly ball center field. More trouble. This one is going to drop and get to the track. No. Check that. It is caught in left center. Rios able to track it down to retire the side. But the Rustlers put 8 on the board, and they lead it 8-0 through 3. Lorenzo, was it on or off? Because I pressed the button again.
I have you.
Okay. Underway in the top of the 4th. It'll be Dar, Sharp, and Tellez. And a long inning for Noah Owen in the dugout. I mean, I think he'll take it. He's leading 8-0, but will he be able to maintain the command that he had through the first 3 innings after he sat for a long while between innings? 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's tough, and it is. I mean, you get a pitcher like Owen, who is so sharp. You do worry about him sitting around for so long. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like. Looks like he's pretty good here. I'll be interested to see how his curveball looks after sitting for so long.
1-2. The count on Dar. He struck out his first time up. Swung on and missed. And Dar down on strikes for out number 1. So 1 down. And the batter now will be Jacob Sharp, who also struck out his first time up. First pitch swinging chopper on the infield, and Casas able to throw across and get sharp for out number 2. So quickly 2 down for Noah Owen here in the 4th inning. And I guess we're getting part of the answer here, Rocco. It seems like he's okay.
He's okay, and Fullerton's helped him out a little bit. First batter swung at a couple pitches that were down out of the strike zone, and you had first pitch swinging right there.
As Tellez hit by the pitch. And that's the second hit batsman of the game for Owen. As McClure will be the batter.
Yeah, and that didn't seem to bother. The first hit by pitch didn't seem to bother Rowan when it was a 0-0 game. So I think he'll be able to refocus here with an 8-0 lead and come right at the hitter.
Breaking ball in the dirt. Tella's going to break for second, throw down, and it just skips away. But Casas backing up. So Tella is not going anywhere, but he does advance to second on the wild pitch. It's 1 ball and no strikes now on McClure, who grounded out his first time up. Owen kicks and delivers. Fouled away. 1-1.
And you mentioned in the previous inning about Diaz being a 2-pitch pitcher, fastball, curveball. It seems like Owen is pretty similar. He's kept that command, and he's really hitting his spots. If he's not hitting his spots, he's missing down low, where these Fullerton batters aren't going to really drive the ball on him.
1 ball and 2 strikes. And it brings up something that we talk about from time to time, and it's always fascinating when you talk about, there's 2 kinds of control. There's control for throwing strikes, and then there's control in the strike zone. And sometimes you can see pitchers get themselves in trouble when you're wild in the zone.
Yeah, absolutely. When it's about where you're missing too. It's not just that you're missing.
1-2 pitch. Curveball high.
And with a pitcher like Owen, I mean, he's 6'4", so when he's missing down low, at some point, and Owen comes right over the top. So at some point, that pitch is looking like a strike to batters. So, you saw that with the leadoff batter this inning. Owen's coming right over the top, and that pitch is going, straight down below the knees. It's, when the catcher catches it, it's down below the knees, and you wonder why, batter's swinging out of the zone. But at some point, that pitch is crossing the eyesight and looking like a strike to the batter. And you get that with somebody 6'4" who comes over the top. I mean, when Owen's throwing straight over like that, that pitch is coming from 6'6" or 6'7" with his arm outstretched.
3-2 pitch, line drive, left field, but right there it's Lepiner to retire the side. Another quiet inning for the Hornets. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left on base. We head to the bottom of the 4th. It's all Golden West. They lead at 8-0. Rustler Baseball on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Bottom of the fourth inning, new pitcher Joel Martinez. Martinez on, he'll face Andel Volge, Boyd, and Lamar. Part of the order due up for the Rustlers, who lead at 8-0. First pitch, low for a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. Give you some numbers on Martinez shortly. 1-0 pitch. Off the end of the bat, but it'll get into center field for a base hit for Andel Volge. And sometimes it's just about muscle. And Andel Volge able to get just enough on this one to get it over the infield.
Yeah, we've seen that with Andel Volge, batting and catching in the 2 games I've seen him. He has that strength. He's not going to get overpowered on anything, and he just kind of muscled that ball in the center field. And again, just like the last inning, the leadoff man's job is to get on base, start a rally, and Golden West did that. It led to 8 runs last inning. Let's see what happens here.
Martinez making his 5th appearance on the season, no record, an ERA of 13.5. In 5 1/3 innings, he's allowed 8 hits, walked 3, struck out 4. 1 ball and no strikes on Boyd, who's perfect on the day, 2 for 2. A double and a single. Couple of runs batted in. Boyd now 4 for 10 in the series overall, as he continues to swing the bat well. He's got a man at first and nobody out here in the bottom of the 4th. Martinez with a long look now comes home. That one over toward the Golden West dugout. 1-1. Christian Lamar, who put a charge into one his last time up, waits on deck.
Yeah, speaking of strength, right?
Right. All right, that was pretty good high fastball. He turned around and took it out over the 390 sign.
Right.
1-1 on Boyd. Runner not going. Chopper back up the middle, ranging to his left. It's Barrios, and he'll put the tag on Andel Volge. No throw to first, so it'll be a fielder's choice. Boyd now at first with 1 down. And Barrios had to go far to his left, but he ends up catching a little bit of a break there. Andel Volge's right there, so he can put the tag on him. That'll bring up Lamar. He's 1 for 2. The 3-run homer his last time up. First home run on the season for Christian Lamar. And he'll stand in against Joel Martinez. And a throw over. And Boyd with good speed at first.
It'll be interesting with the motion. I mean, they have an 8-0 lead, but it's still early in the way things are, balls flying out of the ballpark. You never feel safe with any lead, even an 8-run lead in the 4th inning.
Back to
you have a big batter up, and you don't want to make it out in the bases with a power hitter. But Boyd's a good base runner. He's fast. It looks like he's an aggressive player. Talking about unwritten rules and not stealing when you're up so big. I don't think that applies here. Fullerton could get themselves back in the game real easy.
I remember there was, speaking of not stealing when you have a big lead, there was an entertaining story of former player Dave Lopes talking about that he was upset when he was managing, I think he was managing the Brewers, and someone had stolen a base late in the game with a big lead. They were up 7 or 8 runs, and Dave Lopes was fuming that was kind of went against the code of baseball and you weren't supposed to do that. And careful what you're doing in an age of instant information, because they were able to quickly find out that Dave Lopes himself had stolen something like 7 or 8 or 10 bases when the Dodgers had big leads at the time, 7 or 8 run leads. So
I'm not surprised by that one bit. Great base stealer, great base runner.
Yeah.
As competitive as they come, I could absolutely see him during his playing days saying, I don't 6-0, nothing on the move if you're giving it to him. And if the second baseman or shortstop was in his way, he was taking him out too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's it's interesting, and I suppose you could file it under, hey, he's there, fighting for his team, and he's gonna stand up and defend his guys. I suppose if you wanted to put the spin on it that was most positive for him, and so, but there was just a shade of hypocrisy in there that they were able to uncover. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now the count on Lamar. And Lamar fouls it away again as the hit and run was on.
Yeah. There was Boyd on the move, which, again, not a bad play. I mean, with an 8-run lead, you could take risks. You don't want to just, as weird as it is to sound, you don't want to sit on an 8-run lead. Fullerton's got talented hitters too. Owen's been pitching great. You want to get him as many runs as you could.
Oh, and we have absolutely seen that in our coverage. A lot of big comebacks from big deficits. This could be 2. Over to second for 1. The relay and the throw low, and it'll get by, and Lamar is going to end up at second. So Boyd retired at second, but Lamar ends up at second after the throwing error as they try to turn the double play. So 2 down now. And a runner at second, and Steven Casas will be the batter. And I don't know if we'll see a replay on that, but it looked like Boyd able to get a good head of steam and makes that play a little bit tougher for Lamastra trying to turn. And, I think Lamastra just a little bit wild on the throw.
Yeah, it just spiked it a little bit. Tough play there. Tough break for I'm sorry. Martinez is pitching now. Tough break for Martinez. He threw the double play. Probably a tailor-made double play ball. He could have got out of that inning. Not much speed up at bat there.
Fly ball center field. Moving back and trying to get his bearings, and he does, is Rios. So Rios turning around this way and that way, but he's able to haul it in as Casas drives it to deep center field. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left on base. We head to the 5th. Golden West with an 8-0 lead. Top of the 5th inning, Chesley, Barrios, and Lamastra due up for the Hornets, who have got some work to do. They trail at 8-0. Golden West looking for the 4-game sweep. Noah Owen into the wind. First pitch swung on, popped up, right center. And it's Orduña who will put it away for out number 1.
In the great play ball, he did his job. Happened. His focus. He teammates. He came right after Casas and got that fly out. And that was the second time center fielder had some trouble with the fly ball out there.
Yeah.
They're having some trouble picking things up on that high sky.
And the sun in this particular field, the sun will kind of move across from. There's trouble on the left side a little bit earlier. It'll move to center, and then maybe late in the day, it'll actually be over, and the the difficulty will be on the right side. So it just kind of moves across all day. Here, no balls and 2 strikes quickly on Barrios, who singled his first time up. Breaking ball outside, and Barrios lays off. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. But we saw some trouble in that first game as well. One and 2, fastball high.
And I've been there before, having trouble when you're battling the sun or battling a high sky, or a night game where it's hard to pick up a ball. It's not an easy predicament to be in as a fielder, where you're not able to really track the ball from the bat to your glove. When you're battling some kind of element, it's a lot tougher than it looks.
Full count on Barrios. And now he'll ask for time. Through 4 1/3. No, Owens allowed 1 hit, no walks, struck out 7. He has hit 2 batters. Bouncing ball back up the middle. Casas on a good hop. Will go to first to get Barrios. 2 down, bases empty. And watch Casas at short, and it's hard to believe, or maybe it's not hard to believe, but you remind yourself that this is a guy who usually plays third base. He can play third, short, second. There's no doubt about it, but it looks incredibly natural. Great glove work at short for a guy who's often in the lineup at third base.
Yeah, great footwork too as well. That's where you get some where it's tough to adjust to the different positions across the infield, because you get some different footwork. But Casas, I really am impressed with him as a player. His base running, his fielding, his versatility. He gives a good at bat.
Driven into center, but playable. Orduno there to retire the side. 3 up, 3 down. Halfway through this one in Golden West. With the 8-0 lead, it's Rustler Baseball on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Bottom of the 5th, McGrann, Lepiner, and Jenkins due up for the Rustlers, who lead it 8-0. Looking for win number 5 on the season. And looking to move a couple of games in front of Fullerton in the standings. Joel Martinez back on the bump to start his 2nd inning, and the first pitch in for a strike to McGrann, who's 1 for 2. A strikeout and a double and 2 trips. Oh, 1 pitch to McGrann, tried to hold up, but he went around. He's in a hole now, no balls and 2 strikes. McGrann with 4 hits in the series. Average well up over 300. As Martinez busts that one inside, and McGrann able to fight it off and keep it at 0-2.
See what he does here.
Sorry, we lost him. He's back.
Just inside for a ball, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And always interesting to me, Rocco, and we see this quite a bit, but Martinez, another one of pitchers that you see that is comfortable working from the stretch even with the bases empty in the dirt.
Yeah, very true. I mean, that's always one of the top things you tell any player, just about in any sport. You have to find what's comfortable for you. And if Martinez is more comfortable working from the stretch, more power to him if he's effective with it too.
Inside.
It's all about finding yourself, finding your comfort zone. And that doesn't mean on the side that you can't work on a windup or you can't try to tinker here or there. And but for now, when you're in the heat of competition, do what you're most comfortable with.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Bouncer to short, and it's Barrios with the throw across, and this throw is wide. And McGran gonna be safe at first, and this was gonna be a close play. We'll have a good view of it here. Down at first base, well, just cut out there a little bit, and Barrios maybe having to hurry a little bit, and this will go down. Well, I believe they're gonna call that a hit as I'm watching the scoreboard. I have another error already for Fullerton. So maybe the feeling is
I guess
McGran was going to beat that throw potentially.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. They're giving him the hit that he would have beat the throw, and then the error to advance to second. Tough high chopper there. I thought the shortstop did a good job of Barrios getting up high and going up, catching that ball at the peak.
Yep.
He knew it showed me preparation. He knows his batter. He knows there's good speed. He had good instincts to recognize that he was going to have to hurry on that play. It was not somebody, a lumbering runner from the right side that he could take his time with. So good preparation there by Barrios. He did all he could to try to get it, to get the out.
2 balls and a strike. Now the count on Lepiner, who's 1 for 2. Struck out and then singled in 2 trips. And now we'll have a conference at the Fullerton mound. Can you talk a little bit? I'm curious, and I asked this question while we have a moment here. Maybe what's the difference here when you see the conference that's maybe just the coach and the catcher and when everybody comes in? Are they talking about with the runner at second?
You're talking defensive strategy. That could be a big thing. At times you just, whether it's about positioning or about a mindset where you just tell everybody, hey, listen, grounder to you, be sure of an out, don't worry about the runner, something like that. There are a lot of different things that can go on. When it's just a pitcher and the manager, pitcher, catcher, manager, then you're talking pitch sequencing, mindset of the pitcher, maybe some scouting report on a batter. But when you got the whole infield in there, there's definitely some kind of message to be said to everybody.
3 balls and a strike. The count now on Lepiner. Fly ball left field, and it's Martinez who will take it. McGran gonna hold at second, 1 down, and Jenkins coming to the plate. He's perfect on the day, been hit by a pitch and singled in 2 trips.
But Martinez has done a good job of settling things down. I mean, Golden West they were confident at the plate. All their swings were great. All their swings were on time. They were really capitalizing on bad pitches. They were taking good pitches and just, doing their job on those, hitting them into the outfield. And Martinez has done a good job. He's thrown off their timing a little bit. He's shown some toughness. When the defense let him down a little bit behind him, he was able to bounce right back. So good job here so far. It's not an easy situation to come into when you're facing a lineup that's rolling and it just put up 8 runs. So nice job, Martinez there.
You know, it's going to sound almost comical to say, but really, with the exception of that third inning, you have to be impressed with the Hornet pitching today. Unfortunately, that third inning really got away from them. But, you know, to your point, that first, second, the fourth, and the fifth inning, it's for the most part been really good pitching, good breaking ball, and a swing and a miss, and Jenkins down on strikes.
Really good. And it goes again back to what you said earlier in the second inning. How do you disrupt the timing? And that's all it kind of took to crack Diaz and disrupt him that way. And that's what you're looking to do as a coach. That's what you're looking to do as a team. When a pitcher's in a groove, you got to do something to get him out of that groove. And even if it just was that one inning, you know, Golden West got Diaz out of that groove and he wasn't able to get back in.
Wild pitch as this one will get away from Sharp. McGrann able to easily take third, so 1 ball, no strikes on Orduno. Coming into action today, Orduno was 6 for 8 in the series, and he had a hit in the game earlier today, so he was 7 for 9. He's cooled off a little bit in this one as he's 0 for 3, but he's still having a monster series here against the Hornets. And he's got an opportunity here to pick up another run. 2 down and a runner at third, and a 1-0 count. Able to hold up. They'll appeal down, and Johnny Pineda's going to say that no, he didn't go. So 2 balls and no strikes. Well, Orduno's on his way to first. Did that get him? I think that might have hit him.
I'm looking. Oh yeah, there you go on that back foot.
Yep, that's great camera work. Great job on the replay, guys. And Orduno gets himself on base. So now it's runners at the corners. And that'll bring up Galena, who's 2 for 3.
Yeah, that was some great camera work there, catching that back foot. I didn't see that on the initial pitch at all.
So Galena will be the batter. He's 2 for 3, a couple of singles. Off-speed pitch from Martinez is low for ball 1. Galena now 6 for 12 in the series. Talked about the home runs in 3 consecutive games. That was back between April 23rd and April 29th. And really, Galena's been another one of the players, Boyd and Orduno, good examples as well. But the guy has really swung the bat well right from the outset this season. And he has been very consistent in the middle of this lineup, 2 balls and no strikes. Couple of hits in this one, and the average continues to climb. He came into action today batting .342, and that number's going up. Again, Martinez goes with the all-speed stuff. It's in for a strike, 2 balls and a strike. Watch here, and look like a breaking ball, but not entirely dissimilar, Rocco, from Diaz, where it looks like it's a fairly hard breaking ball as well from Martinez.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard. It's not the big 12-6 breaking ball. It's more of a sharp breaking ball, you know, curve slider type. You know, that has a sharp break to it. So, but I like that though. I mean, that's great stuff. And Martinez does look like he changes speeds.
Yep.
A little bit more than Diaz does.
He walks Galena, so now that'll load him up. Still 2 out. And Andel Volge will be the batter. Yeah, I'm seeing, as I'm watching here a little bit from the side, and it looks to me like Martinez also has more of a straight change than I think we saw from Diaz.
Yeah, I don't think we saw that at all from Diaz. Diaz reminds me of one of those hard-throwing relief pitchers you'd see come out of the bullpen. Yep. You know, a 2-pitch guy, a power arm, good hard fastball, biting slider, good hard biting slider. And you know, somebody that you'd expect like the first 2 innings, somebody to come out of the bullpen and give you 2 innings like that.
Yeah, if you look at him, he looks like the kind of guy that could be really a load to handle if you go 1 time through the order, at least right now with the repertoire that he brings. And certainly that appeared to be the case today. The first time through the order, that was no problem.
Yeah.
1 ball and no strikes on Andel Volge, who's 1 for 2 with a walk. In on the hands, 1 hopper to short. They'll go to second to retire the side. The Rustlers load him up, but nothing across. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 3 left on base. We're through 5 complete. Golden West with the 8-0 lead. It's Rustler Baseball on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Top of the 6th inning. Golden West with an 8-0 lead. And for Fullerton, it will be the top of the order, Martinez, Rios, and Dar. Due up against Noah Owen, who will work into the 6th after a dominating first 5. And first pitch in for a strike.
And Owen's just been great. I mean, we've been singing his praises all game. We talked about Diaz being a prototypical power arm out of the bullpen. Owen is the prototypical workhorse starter. That's what I'm seeing out of him. Like I said, big, tall guy, over the top.
Misses low.
Great.
Yep.
Great delivery. Very repeatable. And very consistent. I've been really impressed. Like I said, Fullerton's got some guys that can swing the bat. So Owen's been really, really very impressive from what I've seen.
And now fielding his position as well, as he's able to go up high and get that one and retire Martinez for out number 1. And we started at the very top talking about the command of the strike zone. And through 5 1/3, 7 strikeouts and no walks. He has hit a couple of batters, but no walks as well. So that command continues. Now the numbers would be 3 walks on the season and 25 strikeouts. So 1 down.
And that's incredibly impressive, because he doesn't, when you see low walk totals with pitchers, you think that maybe there's, they're pitchers that tend to pitch to contact. And Owen doesn't seem too much like that. He's more of a swing and miss kind of guy. He's not out there just throwing sinkers and letting people pound the ball into the ground. He's working over batters. He's working inside, outside, really working up and down in the strike zone too. So, I mean, to be able to have that low, that great command with walk numbers that are that low, and his style of pitching is really, really impressive.
0-2 now the count on Rios. Fastball just outside. Rios 0 for 1, struck out his last time up. He was also hit by a pitch. Owen winds and delivers. Fly ball deep left field, back at the track, and just foul. And Rios got into that one, and that is probably the best swing we've seen against Owen all day. And this one was, if it's fair, it's gone, and it's foul.
Mm-hmm.
So 1-2. And we got a quick look at the replay, and that looked like a breaking ball that was up in the zone and out over the plate. So maybe one of the few mistakes that we've seen from Owen today, but he dodged the bullet there, and he can go back to work. Breaking ball. Chopper to second, and Jenkins able to get Rios. 2 down, bases empty, and here comes Matt Dar, who's 0 for 2. Struck out twice.
And that was, you know, so that showed me something too with Owen there. He gave up that long foul ball, you know, just missed being a homer there on a curveball. And he came right back with that curve. You know, he had confidence. He threw it with confidence. He hit his spot, and he did a great job to get that grounder.
First pitch to Dar misses for a ball. And Matt Dar now 2 for 7 in the series. And he had come into action today swinging the bat very well with multi-hit games in 4 of his last 6 games. But he has been cooled off really along with the entire Hornet lineup by Noah Owen. 1 ball and 1 strike. One pitch. Back through the middle, that's a base hit. So Dar delivers a 2-out single. It's just the second hit of the day for Fullerton. And they have a base runner now for Jacob Sharp. Sharp 0 for 2 in the game. He's now 2 for 7 in the series. He had a home run earlier in the week, 4 runs batted in. But for the Hornets, time running out. Starting the inning, or? Okay. Getting the word that Noah Owen, just a quick update, at 72 pitches, that's up to the moment, and curveball gets away again, and there's another hit by pitch. And now it's 2 on for the Hornets with 2 out. Just to finish the point on Sharp, so home run earlier in the series. 4 runs batted in, but again, they have not been able to keep up with the Rustler bats for the most part here in the first 3 games, including a 21-5 win for Golden West back on Tuesday. So 2 down, 2 on. Well, 3 hit batsmen for Owen in the game. I know they've come on breaking balls, a wave and a miss, but is he working on his intimidation factor here as well?
It's like you said. I think they were all three breaking balls, all pretty similar. They just looked like they,
Yeah.
you know, didn't come out of his hand right. You saw right out of his hand. You know, they were headed inside there towards the hip or shoulder. So, but you know, Fullerton.
Bouncer to short. Long throw and dug out by Galena as Tellez heading down to first. Came up a little lame. Looks like perhaps a cramp or something, but could not run that ball out. And that's a break for Golden West. That was going to potentially be a close play, but Tellez could not finish it out, and that gave a little more time to Casas to get the out. That ends the 6th, still 8-0 Golden West. Bottom of the sixth. Boyd will lead things off.
That was a nice job there, getting out of that little jam there with a couple runners on. I mean, we talked about with an 8-0 lead, it's not so difficult to get back in the game. Fullerton, they get a big hit there with Tellez, a 3-run homer. Now it's they're right back in it.
First pitch line hard into right center. This is going to one hop and go over the wall. It'll be a ground rule double. Boyd now with 3 hits in the game, a couple of doubles. As he's 3 for 4 in this, a ball right over the plate, and he drills it.
What a smooth swing by Boyd to generate that power, too. He's had a great game. I really love his approach at the plate. He's nice and calm up there. I don't think there's anybody more relaxed that I've seen up at the plate. He's patient. He's steady. But when he gets his pitch, he puts a good swing on it. And that's that classic, fantastic, smooth lefty swing. I really like that from Boyd.
Tell you a little story about Julian Boyd that we covered the opening game of the season, and Boyd was the leadoff hitter in that game, and in his first 3 times up, he struck out 3 times and really appeared to be struggling against the initial starting pitcher that was in the Santa Ana series, and really seemed to be having some difficulties at the plate. The first 3 times up, that's a base hit to right. Boyd rounding third. He will score. And on the play, Lamar going to end up at second. It's an RBI single for Lamar, and the lead now 9-0. And so going back to that first game, Golden West down big in that game. They were down 8-1 at one point, and Boyd had really struggled. First 3 times up, 3 strikeouts. And in that game, the next 2 times up, he came up with RBI singles each time. And I think that's, to me, a great statement about Julian Boyd and the approach to the game, not the least bit rattled, starting the season that way, and was still focused and in the game, and came up with a couple of big hits, and it gave you a sense of the kind of player that he was going to be, and he's carried that on really throughout the season.
Yeah, and that's a maturity level that you don't see from every player in this level. The talent I've seen at the 3C2A baseball level has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But you're still dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. You say kids, men, whatever. They're still maturing, they're still growing, and they somebody gets down, has a few tough at bats. It's really you see it a lot. They carry it out into the field, they carry it into their next at bat. So that's some great maturity by Boyd, and I'm not, having watched him this game, watched him the last game, I'm not the least bit surprised to see that. He looks very much in control, very calm and confident.
Well, they always talk about closers in baseball, and you got to have a short memory. But it seems to me, as I watch the game, it's every position. It's a game of short memory, it would seem.
Absolutely.
1-2, the count now on Casas.
And a lot of times that's easier said than done. Being an athlete, you definitely get emotional. You definitely do things in the heat of the moment. You get upset with yourself. It's again all part of maturing. As
down on strikes, goes after the breaking ball. They'll throw down. Lamar remains at third with 1 out.
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen Casas look bad. Not bad in the field or base running. Just a little over anxious. Probably wants to get that run in. Tough job there, but he's got a good hitter behind him here to pick him up.
McGran, who's 2 for 3 in the game, a double and a single. Had a hit in 2 at-bats coming in Game 1 of the doubleheader earlier today. That was a 5-3 win. Shallow left center moving in. It's Martinez. Lamar going to hold at third. So they don't send him as McGran pops out to shallow left. 2 down now. Lamar still at third, and Lepiner will be the batter. He'll try to pick him up. And we got a pinch hitter. So it'll be Mylan Jones, who had a big game in Game 1.
And Golden West has been really aggressive on the base paths. That might be the first time I ever saw them this game holding up a runner. And that was the right thing to do at third base. It was a shallow fly ball. The throw was a little bit up the line. He may have been safe if he went, but no need to take a chance there. That's a smart coaching.
Pitch from Martinez inside for a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. Talked about the big game for Jones. In game 1, he was 2 for 4, a couple of singles and a run scored at the top of the order. And again, that was a 5-3 win for Golden West, their 3rd straight win in the series, and they are well on their way, it would seem here, to making it a 4-game sweep as they lead it 9-0 here in the 6th. A ball and a strike as Martinez gets the call on the inside corner. Chopped into the Rustler dugout. So a ball and 2 strikes. Jones had been 2 for 8 coming into action on the season, so he doubled his hit total with the 2-hit game in the top of the inning, and he gets a shot here. Pinch hitting for Lepiner with a man at third and 2 down. Breaking ball. And this one lifted into right center, and it's Dar who will move over and take it. Stepping in front of Rios to retire the side, but the Rustlers add another run on 2 hits. No errors, 1 left on base. We're through 6. Golden West with a 9-0 lead. You're watching Golden West College Baseball on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Top of the 7th inning, and Golden West with a 9-0 lead. 9 runs, 11 hits, no errors. Fullerton, no runs, 2 hits, 1 error. And Noah Owen will return. This becomes his longest stint of the season. It's his 3rd start, 4th appearance overall. Popped up on the infield, and it's Casas who will take it to retire McClure for out number 1. That'll bring up Chesley, who's 0 for 2.
And again, Casas was kind of fighting himself on another high pop there. We've seen that now a few times. Is a little breezy there, it looks like, with the trees in the background. So good job sticking with it, and you could see he kind of caught that on the back pedal a little.
Well, there's a lot of sun that gets to this field, and let's throw in a little wind too. We are in a beach city, and it's Huntington Beach here, so no balls and a strike. Now the count on Chesley. Owen ready, goes to the breaking ball. They'll appeal down, and they'll say Chesley held up. A ball and a strike. A replay here, and that's good bat control. It looked like he was going to go, but I think he did hold up. 1-1 pitch. Back to the fastball, fouled away.
And we get that at Santa Barbara too. Our field is literally right across the street from the beach, so you get those days where the wind's kicking either through the mountains or off the ocean, and it makes for an adventure, that's for sure.
So a ball and 2 strikes. Ripped into left field. This will get in for a hit. Over to cut it off is Jones, and he'll get it back in, but Chesley going to make it to second with a double. So Chesley able to turn on it. And we haven't seen that too much. That's just the third hit of the game for Fullerton. Last inning, we had a pitch count of 72, and Jones probably a little bit over 80 now. But he's been efficient when you consider he's working with one out here in the seventh.
Yeah, he really has, and it's what we expected. Taking a look at his numbers, especially his low walk totals this year.
So I think I might have said Jones. Noah Owen, of course, 1 ball and no strikes. The count on Barrios, who's 1 for 2, a single and a ground out and 2 trips. And Owen going to check the runner now, come home. Here's the pitch, fastball, fouled back to the screen, 1-1. Barrios 0 for 3.
Yeah, we talked about.
Sorry, go ahead, Rocco.
I was gonna say we talked about repeatability with his motion, and that's we've seen that great when Owen's been in the windup. He hasn't been in the stretch much this game. But again, I'm seeing the same thing. There's a great consistency with it. He checks the runner and goes right back at it. And it's, if you did an overlay of these pitching mechanics, I'd venture to guess that, just about every one would be just about exactly the same. He's just, like I say, classic righty, tall righty, overhand guy. Last broadcast we were talking about which pitchers reminded us of which people. I'm getting a Jack McDowell feel from Owen here.
Yeah, I like it. Now, I'll tell you, I think the relative length of the socks matches. So I think you're right. I think you were on point, right down to the wardrobe. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count now on Barrios, who's 4 for 12 in the series. And interestingly, Barrios has just moved into the starting lineup of late. 3 starts in the last 4 games for Fullerton and a couple of more starts today. So this is a guy that's moving into the lineup after starting the season. Not in the lineup every day. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, I like the McDowell call.
Yeah, Owen's got a little bit more weight on him than Jack. Jack McDowell was a real beanpole, as they say.
Yeah.
But it's the toughness, it's the height, it's that over the top, and I think those are the attributes that's making me think Jack McDowell here.
Yeah, and I think the control there as well. I mean, McDowell was a guy who was going to be around the plate for the most part when he pitched.
Without question, he came right at batters. He was a tough guy. It didn't matter the situation, the batter. He's challenging hitters. He's coming right at them, and Owen's doing that same thing here.
2-2 on Barrios. A good battle here between Owen and Barrios. Chesley away from second, breaking ball, and Barrios able to get a piece. Just chop that one foul. Well, we're talking about Owen, and with good reason. This has been a good at-bat from Barrios there. That was a good pitch, a breaking ball, and Barrios does a good job to just slow the bat down enough to kind of get a piece of that and give himself another chance.
I agree. Barrios has been pretty impressive on both sides, up at bat and in the field.
And fouls off another one. I believe this is pitch number 8 coming up in this at-bat. And if you're Fullerton here in this one against Owen, who has given them so much trouble, you think to yourself, well, these are the kind of at-bats we needed a little bit earlier in the game, get the pitch count up a little bit more. They've let Noah Owen get all the way into the 7th inning.
Exactly, and again, disrupting rhythm, things like that.
Easier said than done, of course. Pop fly down the right field line. It's going to drop in. And that one just in a really tough spot behind Galena at first, and Boyd can't get there. This is a good location from Owen, really busts it inside, but you can't do anything against the ball that's placed in a perfect spot, it would seem.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a good pitch by Owen. You have a batter like Barrios that's aggressive. He's up there, I wouldn't say swinging at everything, but he's looking to swing the bat. He's not looking to be up there taking a walk. So, throw that pitch out of the zone, throw a curveball on it, but which he did. Owen did both of them, but Barrios still got the hit on it.
Well, Owen did a good job last inning with a couple of runners on and staying focused on task, and he was able to get himself out of the jam. Well, here's another challenge. Yes, he's got the big lead, but that's got to be a disappointing result against Barrios, who comes up with the bloop single. But he has got to get himself back and go to work on Lepiner. No balls and a strike. It's runners at the corners with one down here in the 7th.
I know Lemaster's got some good speed. Has a few stolen bases on the year, but Owen's got to be looking for that double play ball, and it looks like that's what the approach here is. First 2 pitches were low in the zone. We mentioned earlier too that being so tall and coming over the top, Owen's a perfect pitcher to try to roll that ground ball. Let's see if he does.
Meanwhile, this one gets back and to the screen. Chesley coming home, and he beats the throw. So the wild pitch will break up the shutout as Chesley comes home and Barrios moves to second. It's 2 balls and a strike. Now the count on Lepiner.
Well, so much for that double play there.
Right.
But, the approach was the same. They're looking bottom of the strike zone there. I really like that pitch sequence there. 2 curveballs low and then coming back with that low fastball. If that's in the zone, that's the perfect recipe for, a grounder to short, turn 2, get out of the inning.
2 balls and a strike. The count on Lepiner. He flied out his last time up. Pop fly down the first base line, and it will twist out of play. So 2-2 on Lepiner. Lepiner 1 for 3 in the game earlier today. So he's now 3 for 9 in the series overall. As Owen will take a little time. And now as you're watching Owen, obviously he's shaken off a couple of times from Andal Volge.
Yeah, that's the first time we're seeing that today from him.
And you don't often see it. It looked like he went through it a couple of times, and now he's ready and has one he likes. Swung on and missed. Lepiner down on strikes as Owen pulls the string. 2 down. Well, whatever he wanted, it seemed to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't know if they're worried about Barrios and signs and what kind of sequence they're using, but, we got a mound conference here.
Yeah, the pitch
I
count
guess they're
right now is
approaching
94. Yeah, we're getting, but the 94th one looked pretty good as he gets Lepiner. That was his first strikeout since he struck out Matt Darr to start the 4th inning, but it's his 8th in the game. So 2 down, and Owen's going to be allowed to continue.
Mm-hmm. And that could have been what that little quick mound conference was, hey, you're at 94 pitches here, 2 outs, last batter, let's finish strong, get out of this inning, and call it a great stint.
That would certainly qualify as that. This one chopped back this way. As always, good thing there's a fence between me and the ball. No balls and a strike. On Martinez, who's 0 for 3. You have to imagine that Dominic Martinez would like to call this a good stint for Noah Owen. Maybe get a look at somebody else. He's 0 for 3 against him so far today.
Yeah.
And that one's in for a strike.
And Martinez is a tough guy to hang an 0 for 3 on, that's for sure.
He's in a hole now, no balls and 2 strikes. Barrios at second with 2 down. The Hornets have broken up the shutout here in the top of the 7th, but it's still all Golden West with a 9-1 lead. And from where we are, the Rustler dug out into it, and they're trying to maybe push Owen to the finish here as that one sails back to the backstop, and Barrios will move to third. It's a ball and 2 strikes now on Martinez. But I think it's pretty clear, Rocco, to the point you were making, that this is very likely the last batter that Owen might face in this one, and they'd like to see if they could get out of the inning right here and call it 7 innings in the book, and 1 run. You can't do it a whole lot better. 1 and 2 in the dirt.
Yeah, and you're starting to see that a little bit from Owen with you know, where he's missing badly. That we didn't see that earlier in the game at all. And it's just 1 or 2 pitches here or there. I mean, he still has good stuff, and he's still fighting through. But you know, you didn't see earlier in the game where he was missing by feet at a time, and that's a fantastic curveball right there to get out of the inning.
Fans Martinez to end the 7th. The Hornets do come up with a run on 2 hits. No errors, 1 left on base. Head to the bottom of the 7th. Golden West with a 9-1 lead. Rustler Baseball on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Bottom of the 7th, it'll be Jenkins, Orduno, and Galena due up against new pitcher right-hander Memo Pacheco. For the Hornets, Rustlers leading it 9-1. Jenkins is 1 for 2, also hit by a pitch. And Pacheco will work from the stretch. First pitch low and away for a ball. And for Pacheco, this is his 5th appearance of the season, a record of 0-1, an ERA of 5.63 in 8 innings of work. Misses for ball 2, 2-0 on Jenkins. And right away, Rocco, it looks like Pacheco not exactly bringing the same thing in terms of velocity, maybe a different type of pitcher, at least preliminarily from what we see in the first at-bat to Jenkins.
Yeah, he doesn't have the size or build as Diaz or Martinez, but that doesn't mean he can't be as effective. You know, it's just a different pitching style. Yeah. You have to locate, change speeds, and you know, it looks like he has a couple of breaking pitches. You know, there was one there that had, you know, good sharp break on it. Yeah. Just stay out of the middle of the plate. You know, jam those batters inside, get them to chase something low and away, and we'll see how it works the batters.
I always wonder why you don't see a little more of, and maybe you do, and I'm just not aware of it, but why you don't see a little bit more of how you use different pitchers together. As this one is lined on one hop over to second, Lemasters will go to first to get Jenkins for out number 1. But you bring in a guy who maybe throws a little more breaking stuff, a little bit lower velocity, and you have him pitch an inning or two right before you bring in a real fireballer and somebody who works maybe off of a harder breaking stuff and a different kind of pitch, and it's got to make it that much more difficult for the opposing lineup.
Absolutely, that was something that I incorporated when I coached college softball. And we don't have the pitching changes that we always did in baseball. But in the times where we had to do that, to me, it always, at least in the sport of softball, made a big difference. You had a junk baller, control pitcher, start off a game, and then you bring in somebody who's throwing a little bit harder,
Yep.
especially from that closer distance, 45 feet. It's that when you get a flamethrower coming in after a soft tosser, it looks like it adds a couple miles an hour on the fastball.
Yeah, I don't see how it couldn't, at least to some
Mm-hmm.
degree, as this one is chopped back. Galena shows the good hands in the on-deck circle. A ball and a strike. And there is a look at right-hander Memo Pacheco, who comes on, third pitcher of the game for the Hornets. Takes over in the bottom of the seventh. 1-1 on Orduno, who's 0 for 3, was hit by a pitch his last time up. And a cut. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count. Well, Orduno would like to get into the action here a little bit. He's one of only 2 guys in the lineup, looking up and down the lineup for the Rustlers here, who doesn't have a hit in this one yet.
And that's surprising too. He's such a good hitter, having a great season.
Yeah, and he's hit the ball hard a couple of times, but nothing to show for it so far. 2 balls and 2 strikes, but the Rustlers have kept right on going, picking up right where they left off. Another 9 runs on the board, and that scoring average up around 10 runs a game now over their last 8 or 9 games, depending on whether or not you count this one. Pulled foul. And indeed, to the point that we've been talking about with Pacheco being a change of pace, you've seen Orduno right away out in front on a couple of pitches, clearly, from Pacheco.
Yeah, he really was, and he's done a good job so far, Pacheco. He's a little bit of a short arm pitcher, but I like the breaking stuff that he's thrown so far.
Lined into right field. This is a base hit for Orduno. Well, there you go. Now he's 1 for 4, and he's been on a couple of times. That's getting a little bit closer to Sebastian Orduno numbers.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time with him. It's that's the sport of baseball. 1 for 4, 2 for 4. You can't get a hit every time up, no matter how good you are. Yeah. And that was right down in his wheelhouse. That's Orduno. Looks like he likes that inside pitch. The pitch was a little bit more inside than the catcher wanted it there. And again, not trying to do too much, just taking that pitch where it was pitched and just popping it into right field and getting himself on base.
And as we sort of make light of Orduno being hitless in the game before that at bat, you have to sort of put that against the fact that with that hit, Orduno now has 8 hits in the series. That leads the team. So it was noteworthy that he had not had
only
a hit
matter
yet.
of time.
Right?
Yeah.
2 balls and no strikes on Galena, who is 2 for 3 with a walk in the game. Galena giving chase, though. He's got 6 hits in the series. He's got a shot here. He's out in front, 2 balls and no strikes. As Pacheco readies, tries the fastball but misses inside. 3 balls, no strikes on Galena. And from our coverage, there's some danger here for Memo Pacheco because you certainly can't groove one to this guy.
No, he's their leading home run hitter, and you don't want him sitting on anything. A 3-0 fastball here. I mean, as a coach, I'm giving him the swing sign.
Yeah.
If a pitch is grooved, swing away and be aggressive on it. But as with Pacheco has been very careful with him. He's kind of picking at the corners. I'd keep that approach going.
And he misses outside, walks him to put 2 on with 1 out. And it'll bring up Andel Volge. 1 for 3 with a walk in the game. Finishing the numbers on Pacheco in the 8 innings, he's allowed 7 hits, walked 2, and struck out 7.
That's pretty good strikeout numbers for somebody that
Yeah, that
doesn't seem to have the overpowering fastball.
Yeah, that number surprised me a little bit as well, as he goes to the fastball there and gets the swinging strike on Andel Volchi. But, you know, there's a little bit where we talked about the difference between pitchers, but you can also see if you're kind of a junk baller sometimes, their own fastball becomes a couple miles an hour faster. So, depending on how he disguises pitches,
that's a great point.
See that sometimes as well. A ball and a
strike.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a great point, and you know, he needs that double play ball here. And he seems to be relying on his breaking pitches. You know, doesn't have the command as some of the you know, earlier pitchers that we've seen or that Owen had. So just I'm looking here for a low breaking ball, something that Andovalji will turn over and to the left side of the infield for a double play and get Fullerton out of this.
2 balls and a strike, and it would seem that the Rustlers are pretty aware of the situation. They're being really patient. Pacheco's having some control problems, and Galena took 4 straight pitches for a ball, and Andel Volchi is being selective as well. And I think they want to see if Pacheco can get it over a couple of times, and he misses again.
Yeah, and that's a good credit to their focus and the coaching. I'm sure coaching has a lot to do with that, saying like, hey, you know, we still have an 8-run lead. It's late. Stay focused. Still have good at-bats. You don't want to fall into bad habits. Sometimes, you know, when the pressure's off a little bit, you have the tendency to get away from what got you there. But Golden West is having patient at-bats, being selective.
Fly ball right field at the track. It's Dar who's got room to put it away on the play. Orduno will tag and head to third. So runners at first and third with 2 down. And the batter will be Julian Boyd, who is 3 for 4 in the game with a couple of doubles and a chance to add to those numbers.
And that was a nice job by Pacheco there. You know, he got his target, and he actually even got it a little bit lower than what his target was. But it was still a pitch that looked hittable as it was coming in, and something that was going to be tough to do some damage with. So that's a great spot on that pitch. Nice job all around.
And Boyd now 5 for 12 in the series with the 3 hits in this one. And in a lineup of guys swinging the bat well, this may be exactly the guy you want up if you're Golden West College. Swings and fouls it away.
I agree. I want to see how this at bat goes because, like I said, Boyd is so patient and calm up at bat. You know, he's going to be relaxed on these breaking balls I see, and if he gets something to hit, I fully expect him to put a good swing on it.
0-1, Pacheco ready. Here's the pitch, and that one fouled off quickly. No balls and 2 strikes on Boyd. Christian Lamar would be next if Boyd can keep it alive. Here in the bottom of the 7th. Golden West on top 9-1. In the dirt, good job by Sharp. We talked about certainly the wanting to stay out of the bad habits. It's an 8-run game here in the 7th inning, but Jacob Sharp still doing everything right behind the plate, and that's a great job getting down and keeping that ball in front. So a ball and 2 strikes on Boyd. And now that one does get away. Maybe a little late movement as that one wasn't in the dirt. And Sharp just reaches for this one. Let's watch the replay here. And this looks like one that Sharp might have been able to handle. Yeah, I think this just looks like one that Sharp let get away.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was expecting something different there on the pitch, but he didn't look like he was too crossed up on it, but he did look like he was late reacting to it. Just one of those things that happens.
Yeah,
maybe he got his,
Sorry,
bad read off of the wristband. No, I would say, reading at that wristband that that these catchers have these days, you got a split second to look at that little type, and
yeah.
Yeah.
you almost have to imagine that there was some kind of cross-up, because literally on the pitch before, he had demonstrated perfect fundamentals getting in front of a ball in the dirt and keeping it in front on a ball that was obviously more difficult to handle. And then it would seem sort of unlikely for him to be so cavalier as to just sort of let one get by him on the next pitch. I guess we'll never know, as this one is chopped just foul, but a strange sequence of events. But either way, it turns into a run for Golden West, and they now lead at 10-1.
Yeah, he's done a good job back there. It's just, one of those things that happens in baseball for sure.
Yep.
And Boyd's putting together a great at-bat here. He's worked at 3-2 and
indeed started out 0-2, but he's got it all the way back.
Yeah.
And Pacheco has the sign. Here's the payoff pitch to Boyd, and it's low and outside for a walk, and that is, well, with 3 hits and 4 at-bats, it would be hard to give a best single at-bat for Julian Boyd on the day, but that was just a walk, but that's in the running because he was down, no balls and 2 strikes, and came all the way back to get himself on base with a walk.
Yeah, he's Mr. Cool up at bat. I mean, he's so, like I said it a few times, he's so calm. He just looks like he sees every pitch great. Out of the pitcher's hands, if it's going to be a ball, he's not really, he's just letting it go. Really impressive at bat.
First pitch in for a strike to Lamar. It was Lamar who really kind of broke things open in this one earlier back in the third with the 3-run home run that made a 2-0 lead, a 5-0 lead, and Golden West has just gone from there and really been in control throughout as they bat here with a 10-1 lead. 2 on. Breaking ball outside for a ball, 1 ball and 1 strike on Lamar, who is 2 for 4 with the single and the home run. We talked about 4 runs batted in the game.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised Pacheco has gone after him with a couple breaking balls. That will be my game plan against him right here, but you don't want to hang one because...
Yeah, we already saw him turn around to high fastball from Diaz.
Yeah, and don't know what he would do with a hanging curveball.
Right.
Picture it going pretty far.
He waves and misses at that one. It's a ball and 2 strikes now. Here's the pitch, reaches out and pops this one foul and out of play.
And those are 2 great spots on the pitches by Pacheco. If you're going to miss, you want to miss down with Lamar. You don't want anything that's going to be where he's going to be able to extend his arms, anything that he's going to be able to drive. Low and away is where you want to live. Let's see what he does here.
He fouls this one away. And I'll tell you, in our coverage of baseball at various levels, there's something I've seen, and I'd be interested in your take on this, but I think one of the dividing lines I see between pitchers, and one of the first ones that comes to mind to me, is when you see a guy who's got good stuff, but with 2 strikes, there's a difference between that pitch that a batter seems to be able to just get a piece of and foul off, and a guy who's got the kind of stuff with 2 strikes to really actually throw one by you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that's that killer instinct that you look for in pitchers, where it's like smelling blood in the water. You get to 2 strikes, and even if a pitcher does have great stuff, you have to have that second level, that killer instinct that I'm going to put you away, I'm going to get you here. That stuff that Bob Gibson used to do, and Tom Seaver. You get to 2 strikes in those guys, and Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Fouled away again. But you see, in our coverage, you see guys that are consistently able to get to 2 strikes, but there might be the absence of that plus pitch, something they can go to with 2 strikes that is going to have that little extra something on it, be it velocity or movement or some kind of disguise where they're able to, instead of having a pitch fouled off, they're able to actually get the batter to swing and miss. And it's something, sometimes it's a dividing line, and right there you see Lamar foul off 3 pitches and then get one that he can handle, and he rips it into center field for a base hit and another run.
Yeah, and that was a good example of that. Pacheco threw a I thought very good pitches, really well located, and Lamar fouled it off and fought, and he finally got one. Um, yeah, same thing. It was a low pitch. It wasn't a bad pitch at all. You
Yep.
know, maybe got a little bit more in the center of the plate than some of the other ones, but another nice at bat by Lamar, fighting off pitches that he really couldn't drive, and then just getting the job done.
Yeah, I mean, against a tough lineup, which you'll so often get in the Orange Empire Conference, it's such a challenge for pitchers, and I am constantly impressed in our coverage with the way that guys are able to handle the bat with 2 strikes and keep at-bats alive, and then eventually find a pitch that they can drive, and that was just a great example of it with Christian Lamar, fighting off 3 pitches with foul balls, and then just ripping one to center for a base hit and another RBI.
Nice, and it's another instance of a Golden West batter not trying to do too much with the pitch. The pitch was, you know, it did get center of the plate, but it was low, and Lamar's not trying to crank it over the left field fence. You know, he's hitting the ball where it's pitched, just drive it through the middle, get that run in. It's, you know, it's an RBI situation. Just again, a great at bat by Lamar. We've seen that from a lot of Golden West batters.
He didn't want to crank it over the left field fence because, after all, he's already done that today. So he wanted to show a little,
Right.
a little something different as he stays back on that one. New pitcher Adam Barasek. And we'll just sort of hang here for a second, let Barasek finish up the warm-up tosses before we get back to it. But indeed, up and down the roster today, the Rustler bats have come to play once again, and they've got 11 on the board here as they lead at 11-1.
Yeah, there's no break in this lineup whatsoever. I mean, it's just, you know, every batter has been coming up with a good approach. They've been patient. They've been selective. They haven't been trying to do too much. They're just, you know, they're doing their job. If they're leading off an inning, they've been getting on base. If they're up in a situation to get runners over, they've been doing that. And then, of course, you know, we've had multiple guys up and down the lineup getting big hits with runners in scoring position. So it's, you know, when you talk about a well-oiled machine and the way an offense is supposed to work in baseball, this is a great example of it today. And it's really to no fault of the Fullerton pitchers. I mean, Diaz lost it a little bit there in that big inning, but you know, they're battling. They're throwing good pitches. It's just there's just no easy out in this Golden West lineup.
Yeah, no balls and a strike. The count now as Barasek starts to work to Casas. Yeah, we've seen some games this year where, to use your vernacular, and I think it's exactly right, where the pitching staffs have hurt themselves. A lot of walks and putting runners on base without really challenging the hitters. But the Hornet pitchers, for the most part today, have been around the plate, and they've been challenging these Rustler hitters. And there have just been some hard hit balls by the Golden West bats, and that's been a big part of what's put 11 on the board. 1-1, Barasek ready. Fly ball, deep left field, long run, and this will drop in. It'll get to the wall. Casas going to hold up at second as the Rustlers bring home a couple of more. It's a 2-run double for Casas.
And that ball really stayed up there. I mean, they really had to be shading Casas the other way. And it was an outside pitch, but he ran a long way for it, and that was, you know, no fault of the left fielder. It was the positioning. They had to be, you know, I didn't see a whole outfield shot, but
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had that whole outfield shifted over to right field.
Yeah, they were
on Casas.
Yeah, Martinez was well off the line, so that was a long run to begin with, and that cut down on the time. Wind also, I believe, I'm looking for a flag out here, and I'll be darned if I can find one. But it appears that the wind is blowing out today, and now maybe a little bit toward left field as well. So that ball was definitely carrying off the bat of Casas as well, as McGran fouls that one out of play. No balls and a strike. Well, 4 more on the board here in the 7th. And Golden West now leads at 13-1 as Casas gets into the act, and with that hit, everybody in the lineup's got a base hit today for Golden West.
Wow.
So indeed, when we talk about up and down the lineup, we really mean it. That is everybody. In for a strike, no balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and they have a great lineup with, you know, it's great balance with, you know, they have the power bats up there, and they got, you know, guys like Boyd and Casas, who put the bat on the ball, who run the bases. Uh, it's just, it's a versatile lineup. It's a deep lineup. Yeah, I'm not surprised they have the success that they do.
Yeah, Golden West this season, as that one's fouled off by McGrann again, they sort of ran into a little bit of a tough break by the vagaries of the schedule as they get Santa Ana. That's a tough program right off the bat. They also get Saddleback, who's in the top 4, and they get Orange Coast. That's your first 3 series are against those 3 teams who are all in the top 4. So they haven't really had an opportunity to play anybody who is down in the standings at all. This is really the first time lined to short Barrios there to make the catch and retire the side. But the Rustlers at their first opportunity to play somebody not at the very top of the standings, and they are making the most of it as they are closing in on what would be a 4-game sweep. 4 runs on the board in the 7th. We head to the 8th with Golden West on top 13-1 on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Top of the 8th inning. And a quick delay here as they got to get one more ball off the field. And now we'll be ready to go with new pitcher Marco Ibarra on the mound for Golden West. And what reliever doesn't like coming in with a 13-1 lead? As he'll go to work here in the 8th with Rios, Dar, and Sharp due up. Ibarra's first pitch in for a strike. For Ibarra, it's his 6th appearance on the season, a record of 0-1, an ERA at 27 and 4 1/3. He's allowed 16 hits, walked 1, struck out 3. So Ibarra, again, a little bit like Craddock earlier. Numbers can so easily be skewed from one bad outing when you're talking about just a few innings on the season so far. And so Ibarra, one of those earlier series, a rough outing, and he'll try to come back from that. 2 balls and a strike. The count on Rios. Ibarra ready. This one ripped into left center field. This is going to get down and get to the track. And Rios will end up at second with a double. So a runner at second to lead things off, and Dar will be the batter. He's 1 for 3, a base hit his last time up. So that'll bring up Matt Dar. First pitch, slow roller to short. Casas will charge. He'll never get him. Dar getting down the line well was able to easily beat that one out for an infield hit. On the play, Rios had to stay at second as this was in front of him. So a small break there for the Rustlers. And the Hornets now with 2 on, nobody out as they get going against Ibarra right away. First pitch.
Thrown out on the bases.
Okay, sorry, Rocco, I wasn't sure that we had you there for a second. So 1 ball
All right.
and no strikes. On Sharp. So Ibarra takes over for Owen, who was dynamite over the first 7 innings, allowing just 4 hits and 1 run as Golden West carries the big lead into the 8th. 1-1 on Sharp, who's 0 for 2. He was hit by a pitch his last time up. And Ibarra working more deliberately, and that one fouled back to the screen. 1-2. And Sharp, one of a revolving door of catchers this season for Fullerton. He gets the start here in Game 4. Talked about came into the series, came into today 2 for 5 in the series, but he's 0 for 2 in this one. But looking up and down the roster, a few catchers have seen action for the Hornets so far this season. Up in the zone and hammered into center field. Orduño there to make the catch, but that was well hit again by Sharp. Watch this one, and this one just happens to hang up in the air long enough for Orduño to get there.
Yeah, nice job. Just hit it right at the center fielder on that one. You know, and that's all, you know, Golden West is looking for right now. Up 12, you just want outs. You know, runners on first and second. I'd maybe, you know, play the infield deep a little bit. Make sure the, you know, middle infielders especially get some range. Just get your force outs wherever you need to pick them up, and that's your game plan here in the late innings, up with a big lead.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when we watch, and especially so often, you wonder why coaches go gray or lose the hair, whichever one happens to them early. But you sometimes see pitchers come in with big leads, and you have a good defense behind you, and they come in and they still just try to be so fine and hit their spots, and boy, you just think to yourself, man, just get it over and let them play some defense behind you.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's a good time for pitchers to learn something about themselves by going right at batters, and that was one message I always gave when we were coaching, like, hey, you know, don't mess around. We're up, you know, Golden West is up 12 runs here with 2 innings left, with, you know, we get 5 outs to go. You know, see what you could do by challenging the batters. You know, maybe you learn about yourself and that you're able to be aggressive in the strike zone. You know, you don't have to be so scared about certain pitches. You know, it's a great spot to learn about yourself and grow as a pitcher.
3 balls and no strikes on pinch hitter Marco Malerba, who takes over as the designated hitter for Julian Tellez, who left with an apparent leg injury in his last time up, as that pitch is in for a strike. And I should check that and say that Malerba taking over at first base for Tellez. So 3 balls and a strike. This is his first at bat in the game. Malerba comes in 3 for 20 on the season at the plate. Ibarra ready. The 3-1 pitch. And that was well inside, and that got a piece of Malerba. So 4 batters today for the Hornets have been hit by pitches. As now Ibarra has hit his first, and they're loaded with 1 out for Jacob McClure, who's had a quiet day at the plate. He's 0 for 3. And McClure came in batting .346 on the season with 2 home runs and 12 runs batted in. So a little bit like Dominic Martinez at the top of the order. This is a very good bat that the Rustlers have kept pretty quiet, at least so far today. And a swing and a miss at the breaking ball from Ibarra. No balls and a strike. McClure is 1 for 9 in the series. Held hitless in game 1 of this series, and that snapped at the time what was an 8-game hit streak. So he came into this series swinging the bat well, and the Rustlers have done a good job working to it.
He is, and he's got some power, and he could really do some damage. So really nice job by the Rustlers there.
Low for a ball, 1-1. And I do want to update. It looks like it's Nick Hill at the plate, so they're pinch hitting for McClure.
1-0.
Okay.
Swing and a miss. And now it's no balls and a strike. And I'm going to need a little bit of an update here because it's also now 2 outs, so apologies. Let's update you on the situation so we know what's going on. It's runners at first and second, 2 down. And the score is 13-1 with Nick Hill at the plate. Fastball in for a strike, no balls and 2 strikes. I'm going to see if I can get a full update on exactly what happened. I was enjoying our conversation so much, I think I missed part of it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, was that a strike 3 to McClure?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I misplaced a few pitches, I guess. But either way, the current situation is first and second, 2 down. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Hill. Called strike 3.
Ooh.
That'll end the 8th.
Great pitch.
Couple of hits for the Hornets, but nothing on the board. And we head to the bottom of the 8th, 13-1 Golden West. Okay, and for those following along, got the update on exactly what happened there, because it was a little bit confusing. The ball inside to Malerba, it looked like it hit him, but the ruling on the field was that there was contact with the bat. So Malerba still at the plate. He eventually went down on strikes, and then Hill pinch hit for McClure and struck out to retire the side. So yeah, I think we got a little thrown off there on the inside pitch that we thought Malerba was hit by the pitch, but no, it ends up going down as a strikeout eventually. So that brings you up to date. Yep, and we're in the bottom of the 8th with Mylan Jones leading things off. 1 ball and no strikes as Berezek back to work, misses inside, 2-0. It'll be Jones, Jenkins, and then Orduno at the top of the order. And Jones came on, flied to right his first time up, taking over for Jackson Lepiner in left field. Popped up. It's Malerba who will take it to retire Jones for out number 1.
Yeah, that little mix-up reminds me of my childhood. I grew up in the New York City area watching the Yankees and Phil Rizzuto announcing the games. And, you know, Phil had those things pretty frequently where it was, who's up now, how many outs? What? He had a thing where he kept his scorebook. And, you know, Bill White would always say, yep, just put down a little WW in the book, Phil. And that stood for wasn't watching. So that there are a lot of WWs in Rizzuto's book, and not that we weren't watching.
Yeah.
Not that we weren't watching what was going on, but just reminded me of that.
I'm gonna have to learn my. I'm gonna have to add that notation to my scoring book. because it seems like it's going to be one that's going to need to be in there sometimes. 1-1 on Jenkins, who's 1 for 3. He was also hit by a pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, going back for me, it was growing up in Chicago, and it was Harry Carey toward the end of his career, and his idiosyncrasies that would happen, and those were always fun too.
Those are great.
Yep.
I loved coming home, and even in New York City, we'd get WGN, and we'd watch the Cubs. You'd listen to Harry Carey, and he was great to listen to. It made baseball fun. That's without question.
Yeah, it was really. I remember as I was watching for the most part, that he was paired with Steve Stone, and that was a really good combination because Harry's mind might wander a little bit off onto a tangent about something, and Steve Stone had a terrific way of sort of keeping him on track a little bit too as well. So they made for a good team. Line drive down the right field line. It's in for a base hit. Digging for second. It's Jenkins, and he'll make it with a 1-out double.
Yeah, a really nice piece of hitting there. That pitch is on the outer part of the plate. And, again, we're seeing it again from a Golden West batter. He's not trying to do too much with it. He's taking it where it's pitched and driving it right down the right field line. Again, that's a pitch. If he's trying to pull, he's rolling over on the grounder to short with that. So really nice piece of hitting. He hit it down the line with authority. He didn't just poke it out there in right field.
Yeah, good swing from Jenkins, who's now got 2 hits in the game. That'll bring up Orduno. 1 for 4, and he's been hit by a pitch. Finishing up a monster series in this one. As the average continues to climb, 1 ball and no strikes. Meanwhile, Semio Hughes moves into the on-deck circle. In the dirt, and it gets away from Sharp. And that will allow Jenkins to move to third.
And a tough one on there. He kind of came up instead of going down.
2 balls, no strikes. And Orduno at the plate with a chance to put another one on the board for Golden West. 2-0 pitch. This one hit deep to right at the track, and with room, it's Dar. This will be more than deep enough to bring home the run, so it'll go down as a sacrifice fly for Orduno. As Jenkins comes home, and Golden West now leads it 14-1.
Yeah, nice job by Orduno getting the run in and doing his job. He hit that one good. That was off the bat. I thought it had a shot or could have been up against the wall, but it looked like they were playing him pretty deep, Fullerton, and rightly so. Nice positioning by the outfield. But a good job by Orduno. You just, with the runner on third and and no outs, you really need to get the ball out of the infield. No matter what the score is. So nice job there.
Tell you, you watch a guy like Sebastian Orduno, and here's what occurs to me from the few games that we've watched. And Orduno is a guy who I think is going to continue his career. As there's a base hit for Hughes, who had a couple of hits in Game 1 earlier today, and he keeps it going here with another single. But you watch Orduno, and you could see the potential D1 type talent, and a guy who's going to continue his career. And right now, he's got warning track power. You'd love to see. Yeah. Just a little bit more muscle that I think he can add, and get another 10 feet on some of those fly balls. And he's got the power. He's got home runs this season, so he could take it out. But he's a guy. Doesn't it seem like you just love to see him at about 10 feet on the fly ball and turn?
Yeah, and so something like that was a perfect example. He put a great swing on it. It was a pitch you could drive, and he got it to the warning track, which again was good, and he did his job. But it's all part of the maturing process and growing, and if he does get into a D1 program or whatever the next steps are, in his life, you always, you put on weight, you gain strength.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think that is projectable, and that's part of what these D1 coaches look for when they're looking at players on this level, projecting out, hey, if we put 10 more pounds of muscle on this player, what's he going to look like? And
Right.
you do that with Orduño, and he's already a dangerous player. It makes him even more dangerous.
Inside, yeah. The mechanics and the fundamentals absolutely seem to be
Mm-hmm.
that they really leap out at you, and it seems like a good balance in the swing, and he's able to put a charge into it on a fairly consistent basis. And boy, if he could just get a little more carry, turn a lot of balls that we have seen in this short season hit to the warning track, and some of those start going out. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. I know you're a big Mets guy, and
Right.
you got that. But I've heard a couple of Yankee stories here. Now, how is it in New York? Because sometimes in Chicago, you're only allowed to be a fan of one, and it's frowned upon to be a fan of the other. But what
It's
is it?
I grew up, watching flipping back and forth between Mets and Yankees games because my
Yeah.
dad was in charge of the remote, and they're always playing at the same time. But as much as it pains me to admit, the Mets are, you can't compete with the Yankees and their 27 titles and the history that they have, and as a Mets fan, I'll admit to the checkered history that franchise has.
Yeah.
So it's I grew up hating the Yankees, the '80s Yankees, and arguing with my brother that Keith Hernandez was better than Don Mattingly. But now as I'm getting older and appreciating baseball history, I kind of you know just appreciate the sport for what it is, and I'm focusing my disdain on the NL East teams like the Phillies and Braves.
I know you stayed away from the Cubs there. I appreciate that. Hey, listen, you got the final word on the greatest postseason ever in 1986. This one driven deep to center, back to the wall and gone. Oh, okay, it was on the hop. I just saw it disappear over the wall, so I do apologize. It's going to be a ground rule double as that one just takes a bounce. Let's take you back to this one. This was another great swing as Andel Volge very nearly took it out of here. And watch this one. And just down right in front of the wall and over.
I thought that was out too, just based
Yeah.
on the reaction of the center fielder too.
Yeah. Yeah, so it
But
does keep the runner at third as Andel Volge, I think only the deepest part of the park, kept that one in. Another well-hit ball back. Second and third now after the ground rule double for the Rustlers, and
you
that
see
will
that
bring up Boyd.
that was that great power again by Andovaldi, such a strong guy.
Yeah.
But you're right with the Mets.
And this one hit to left center, playable for Martinez, who will retire the side. We'll come back for the top of the ninth because I got a feeling we're about to talk about 1986, and I'm always up for that. So through 8, Golden West with a 14-1 lead here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Okay. Let's bring you back. Going to bring you back here. The inning's still going in the 8th. So I thought I saw a fly out. It's been a bit of a strange one. But the Rustlers are still at the plate, so we'll try to bring you back to the action and keep you updated on exactly what's going on. Well, I had 3 outs on my scorebook, but it's still 2 down, and now it's 15-1 after a base hit brings home another run. So the Rustlers still at the plate. And apologies, this one's gotten away a little bit. 1 ball and no strikes. I still don't know. We'll try to figure out what it was. In any event.
Yeah, I thought that was the 3rd out.
Yeah,
fly out to left.
Yeah, I've got 3 on my scorebook, but obviously there was a call on the field that changed something. So we'll keep it here and give you the visuals from Golden West as the Rustlers are still at the plate. They now lead at 15-1 as they bat in the bottom of the 8th. It's Steven Casas at the plate. As Joe Yost, pinch hitting for Lamar, just delivered a base hit to bring home another run. In for a strike, 1 ball and 2 strikes. As Barachek will try to close it out for the Hornets and get it to the 9th. And the Rustlers looking to pick up their 5th win of the season. Casas, fly ball, center field. And Rios has it, and that will retire the side. Now we head to the 9th, Golden West on top, 15-1 here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Top of the 9th, new pitcher Michael Oliveras for the Rustlers. 3 outs away from a 4-game sweep and a record of 5-11 on the season. And Oliveras will come in and finish this one out. Oliveras' 4th appearance of the season, his 2nd in relief, a record of 1-1, an ERA of 12.27. First pitch fouled off, no balls and a strike. Andrew Sanchez pinch hitting for Sawyer Chesley at the plate. So what was it you were going to say at 86? I think overall in the 80s, I think you might have a somewhat decent case for Hernandez over Mattingly. It's pretty tough to make that argument. Pretty tough to make that argument in 84 and 85. But I think after that, it tightens up considerably.
Yeah, Keith didn't have the power that Mattingly did or the run production, right. But I'll sit there with and argue with his fielding, against anybody in baseball history. At first, I always
You,
said Hernandez played first base the way like he was a shortstop.
yep.
He's all over the field.
Keith Hernandez wrote one of the most interesting books I've ever read about baseball, and he participated in the writing. I don't know if he literally wrote it or collaborated with somebody, but it was called Pure Baseball. And it was very interesting. It was basically what it was an almost pitch-by-pitch discussion or analysis of a typical game that he was involved in. I think it was against the Braves sometime in the 80s. But it was just fascinating to read, just pitch to pitch, some of the things that somebody who's a student of the game at that level thinks about and understands about situations in baseball. And it was very, very interesting to read. It's one of my favorite books about baseball. So not surprising, Keith Hernandez, a guy who's obviously extremely knowledgeable and articulate about the game.
Yeah, that sounds like a fascinating book. That's great. I mean, I know he's got a couple of books, if at first, and he just came out with I'm Keith Hernandez.
Right.
Always great stuff. But like you mentioned, you mentioned it in passing, that 86 postseason, has an argument as the best postseason ever. I mean, it was just 3 series, the ALCS, NLCS, and then World Series. But, I mean, such drama, so many twists and turns.
I think it's funny because, and you'll appreciate this because you're a Mets fan, is that, Game 6 of the World Series and the tragedy surrounding Donnie Moore kind of obscure or overshadow what a phenomenal series it was between Houston and the Mets in the NLCS.
Yeah, it was, and you're right about that. The Donnie Moore and the Angels and Dave Henderson hitting that home run.
Yeah.
Beyond Donnie Moore had some other problems, he was dealing with too. But I mean, as you see, he was at a strikeout there. 2-2 pitch, nice low fastball there for the strikeout. But that Red Sox Angels series and the Mets Astros. I mean, the World Series could easily been Astros Angels just as easily as it was Mets Red Sox. And just the plot twist and the drama.
I couldn't agree more. And I'll tell you, I think that the Mets were down. Talk about down to their final at bat in Game 6 of the World Series. They were down to their final at bat as well in a similar situation, down 3 runs to the Astros. And I think what's fascinating about that series is I don't think there's anybody who will tell you in a more straightforward way that if they didn't win Game 6, they weren't going to win that series than the Mets, who were pretty much forthright that they were not going to beat Mike Scott if that went to a Game 7 in that series.
You're absolutely right. And in my baseball writing that I do, I actually pretty recently interviewed Ed Hearn, backup catcher on the 86 Mets, and he was the first 86 Met I interviewed or talked to. I said to him, like, listen, I was a 12-year-old Mets fan in 1986. Everybody always says that you weren't beating Mike Scott. I'm like, but to me, you were going to find a way to beat him. The Mets were going to find a way to win, even if it was nothing, and Scott came out of the game in the 12th inning and whatever. And I went through this whole thing about how the Mets were going to beat Mike Scott anyway, and Ed Hearn said, "There's no way in the world."
Oh, what a great play at second, and not going to get the runner as they pulled him off. But that was Jenkins closing, and he goes directly from the glove on the scoop to Olivares covering. Nearly a highlight reel, but a little bit wide, and good hustle getting down the line, and the Hornets have a base runner here with 1 out. Jack James
looks like
pinch hitting.
Didn't reach for that base with his foot and didn't get it, it looked like. But Ed Hearn, he said there's no way we were winning. We weren't beating Mike Scott Game 7. If you ever talk to any of my teammates and they tell you otherwise, you tell them they're full of it.
And that was my understanding, was pretty much that's what they would tell you. I mean, there was no false bravado about where he was at that point, and I think just how much with whatever he was doing, how much that ball was moving. But I think it just gets so into your head. If you ever want to read something entertaining, speaking about the way the ball moves, one of the interesting autobiographies that I read, or entertaining autobiographies, was Gaylord Perry's, and talking about how, he used the means, shall we say, that he used to be successful to some degree, but that what was important about that kind of thing was the toll that it took mentally, as this one's lined into right for a base hit on opposing hitters, and that he could sometimes put it in their head that he might do something, then not do something, and that would have them off balance. And it's kind of an entertaining read talking about it, and he used to really enjoy torturing Pete Rose, who just hated him, and would seem to succumb to those mental games a lot, which Gaylord Perry thought was terribly funny.
Yeah, and a nice piece of hitting there too, going the other way. And I've met Gaylord Perry, at Cooperstown actually when Mike Piazza was inducted.
Yep.
But I've never interviewed him. I've interviewed Jim Sundberg though, who was his catcher in Texas.
Yep.
And I did ask him about that. And he said it was all the psychology of it.
Yeah.
If his other pitches were going good, he'd go all game and not throw a spitball.
Yeah.
But if his other pitches weren't working so well, and he had to load up here or there on a big spot, that's what he would do. But they checked him so many times, and I think he only got thrown out of a game one time at the very, very end of his career. It's not like it was all the psychology of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he would go through all the machinations on the mound, so you were never really sure, because he would do all of the same things that he would do if he were going to put something on the ball. And so you just never really knew, and you might even get it into your head that the ball is going to drop or move in a certain way like it would, and then it wouldn't, and it would be just as effective as putting something on the ball would be. It was interesting to read about, and humorous that he took such great pleasure in the mind games that he could play with opposing hitters by doing that.
Yeah.
One ball and
he
two
definitely
strikes
did.
to go. Yep.
And talking too about Ed Hearn and back to Mike Scott, he said the Mets had gathered a bucket full of balls that were all scuffed in the same spot, and Ed Hearn had said they sent those balls into the MLB offices to say hey, look at this is what's going on. But Hearn said he kept about 5 or 6 of the balls, and he said he still has them. They're in a sock that he keeps, he's stored in an old sanitary sock. And, so he still has those scuffed balls from the 1986 NLCS from Mike Scott.
That'd be interesting. I mean, I think it's with Scott it was a little different. I don't think there's as much, question about that one. That one is roped but foul. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. But, it's that goes back. I was 16 at the time, and it was just an incredible couple of weeks of baseball.
Yeah.
And then going into the World Series, which absolutely lived up to it, if not surpassed it in terms of the drama, of course, that happened there. And I mean, it was pretty phenomenal stuff. 2 balls and 2 strikes, and so. Much as I will have 2016, you'll always have that as a Mets fan. To short, Casas able to go to second and get the runner, but they cannot turn 2, so it's 2 down now with runners at the corners. More good glove work from Casas. And she wants the replay here as he goes into the hole. This is well hit by Martinez. And just a good job to get the force. 4 out, number 2.
Yeah, it really was. That was a great. I was really impressed by that play on Casas. When you go in the hole like that, you want to get that right foot planted so you can pivot and make a nice throw to your second baseman. And Casas did it. And the fact that play was that close at first base says a lot about Casas and a lot about the turn at second too.
Popped up. This might do it. Andel Volge there, and the Rustlers put it away. 15-1 the final. They have the 4-game sweep. And they move to 5-11 on the season. Rocco, thanks so much for sitting in with us. This was a lot of fun. We really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I really, because it's a ton of fun for me. I love watching baseball. Love watching these guys compete. And couldn't think of a better way to spend a nice Friday afternoon.
You guys have a rebroadcast anywhere
And the Rustlers just phenomenal. From start to finish today, it starts with Noah Owen on the mound, and then 18 hits as they stay incredibly hot at the plate, up and down the lineup. 15-1 the final. And a step-aside call it a day here from Golden West. The Rustlers get the win over Fullerton for everybody here at SoCalCollegeSports.com. So long, everybody.
Thank you.
Should I do it now? Real quick, just before we go, would be remiss if we didn't pass along just a couple of quick thank yous. Danny Johnson, Tim Bremen here at Golden West College, appreciate their time, and of course Dean Drew Ramos over at Golden West, and Mike Monday as well for taking some time and helping us out as well with the broadcast. So do want to say a quick thanks. Once again, final score 15-1. So long, everybody. We'll see you next week.